it's like this energy it's almost like it's always leaving a diving board, you know?
Right.
So to get that to that, even it almost feels like inertia or whatever. So to get it to stop, I think is, you know, sometimes it's kind of harrowing, I feel like.
Right.
Rage rooms invite people to engage with their anger, but do they actually work?
Yeah.
This is a study that came out.
I can't see who wrote it. Marcus Biddle. I don't know Marcus.
Rage rooms. They just had one for women that they opened up.
I saw this.
Did you?
Think. Yeah.
You bring that up?
Rage
rooms for women?
I think is it a rage room or do they take them out into the woods?
If they're taking them into the woods, I'm not getting involved in it. You know what I'm
That's a
saying?
good-
Like, I'll let as many ladies as they want just go ham inside of a Bed Bath and Body Works or whatever with a shovel.
Yeah.
I'll join them. But I don't think we need to like bring anybody into the woods.
Yeah, that's probably not a great.
Can you see what's going on here? Though I just want to.
I think it was like a New York Times article or something.
This was an article about rage, women rage, getting it out.
Yep.
Well, because sometimes my rage, it will almost feels like it blinds me.
Right.
You know, it's like it is so overcoming. Because if you don't, so if somebody doesn't process.
I mean, I think like probably truly the worst thing people can do is that a cathartic expression is like breaking stuff, exercising. Those are probably the bad ways.
Right.
Yeah.
And I guess it just feels like that because physically you're doing something.
Yep.
Like, yeah, obviously I'm taking an action.
Yep.
There's an actual physical action. Then it feels like, oh, that should be helpful.
And it is what your body wants to do, right? Because I mean, if we define anger as the emotional desire to lash out, well, then your body wants to lash out. And so if you give it that, you know, it's going to feel good. That doesn't make it good for you. I mean,
right.
We could talk about this with other, you know, I guess some other like bad ways to deal with your anger, but these are obvious to people is like doing drugs, right? Overeating, you know, just calling a friend and screaming at them. Like those things are bad for you. They're mean. Do they make you feel better? Sometimes in the moment they do for people, right? But that doesn't make it good for them.
But sometimes I think it feels like doing one of those things is healthier than doing something physically dangerous.
Yes. Yep. I think so. Yeah. You know, I think you're right. Although, I mean, long term, those things can be physically dangerous too, for
100%.
sure. But yeah.
Right. Yeah. In the moment.
Yep.
Yeah.
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 And that's the worry actually is that. So what we find is that people who use like if their approach to dealing with anger is I'm going to go punch this pillow, you know, or I'm going to go punch this punching bag, or I'm going to tear phone books in half or whatever.
Yeah.
What we find is that becomes it's like, you know, I used to have a soccer coach who would say practice makes permanent, right? And it's like the way you practice something is how you'll do things in life. And if you practice your anger that way, well, then someday when you're mad, you're not going to control yourself, and you're gonna hit someone. You're gonna punch someone. You're gonna go after them, and so it ends up having those kinds of long-term harmful consequences.
Damn, dude. God,
people don't like to hear this. By the way, when I talk about this and just a couple weeks ago, I talk about this on Instagram and. Wow. I mean, new research comes out, 150 plus studies. It's an article by a guy named Dr. Brad Bushman, who's a huge monster anger researcher and aggression researcher in the field. And he does this study and he looks at 154 studies over time, approximately, and finds that across all these studies, what does work is when you find ways to relax, to decrease arousal in the moment, right? Grounding, deep breaths, all that stuff. What doesn't work is when you raise arousal, right? You break stuff. Of course, I share this on Instagram.
Nobody wants to hear that.
Nobody wants to hear that.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, I think arousal is a great term, too, to use because that's what's going on.
Right.
You are at a heightened state of arousal.
Right.
And it feels like dangerous arousal.
Right.
But even then, I could see maybe if you're going to work out or get it out that way, you're keeping the arousal at a high level.
Right.
Because you're keeping like at least something inside of you aroused.
Right. Every now and then someone reaches out to me and asks if I'll
open a rage room?
No, if I'll support theirs. Like if I'll go and like promote their rage room, and I have to tell them no. Like you obviously haven't paid attention to what I have to say.
These places took abandoned warehouses and vacant offices and turned them into businesses made for organized chaos. Some were also marketed as an alternative to anger management. Yeah.
The one in my town has
Makes itself available for gender reveals.
Oh,
which
really?
I don't know what that looks like.
I
Like,
could
what-
see that maybe. I'm trying to think if you beat a
fill-
cushion hard enough, like, a couple twins pop out of it or something. I don't know. That's
Just they
wild.
fill up a printer with either blue or pink toner.
Oh, there you go.
You trash it till it spills all over. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if that would be. I wonder if the rage room. A lot of them I've seen. Well, a lot of rooms. I noticed this happened too. There was a business like de-evolution where a lot of escape rooms went under.
Okay.
And then they turned into rage rooms.
Oh, interesting.
And then they just went out of business completely and just turned
Yeah.
into one bedroom apartments that have like a trap door in them or whatever. Dude, I remember there used to be a place in LA downtown. They'd have a couple. It was like a Vietnamese establishment, and you would put on like a dog bite suit, and these guys would literally beat the smack out of you for like $80 for 15 or 20 minutes.
Wow. My brother and I used to play that game when we were kids, actually. Yeah, we really would. We'd play this game where we would pile up a bunch of, like, we were a sports family, right? So we had like all sorts of gear. We'd pile all this gear in the middle of the room and we'd draft items. Like we'd each take a thing and then you'd put it on, and then we had these big plastic Tinker toys and we just beat the crap out of each other.
that.
Yeah. So it was great.
Maybe, yeah.
He's a lot older than me though, so I usually lost. So,
Well, it sounds like he was. It seems very unfair that he would do that.
Yeah.
then. If he was a lot older, like how old? Like 12 years older?
just 5.
Oh, that's kind of fair. Even that's getting a little outside of the range of
Yeah.
able to beat my brother age.
Yeah, agreed. You
know?
should tell him that.
Yeah.
We'll let him know.
Yeah. Here's one right here. The rage room.
there we go.
Oh, somebody hit a.
Oh,
Maybe they did hit an ink toner.
yeah.
A toner cartridge. Oh, there's something that had a dangerous gas in it. They said nerve gas.
Jeez.
Yep, that's what you do. Look.
That's gotta be careful.
Yeah, you got to be careful. Yeah, I guess it's. I don't know if I've ever even been to one. I don't know if it was something that really excited me. So what would be healthy ways to process anger? I mean, some of them seem kind of obvious.
Yep.
They don't seem that much fun.
Right. Yeah, no, that's true. I think there's two ways of thinking about this. Like the first way is to think about, okay, when I am angry, what do I do to deal with that anger, right? And that's where that study I was just telling you about, 154 articles that essentially find you gotta find ways to de-escalate, right? So what are those different mechanisms? And there are different ones for different people, but it's the deep breathing, it's mindful walking. It is, so you go for a walk and you just think about your thoughts and try and relax. You think about nature, you think about whatever's going on. Cool study just came out, by the way, that found that college students who go for walks versus college students who go for walks and bird watch, that the bird watching is actually better for their mental health than just going for walks.
Really?
And
It's kind of peeping Toming on nature, I feel like. I mean,
that's
it's
true. Yeah, no, you're right. It's
know
voyeuristic. It's like, look, this bird's just trying to live its life.
I know.
Here
Think
I
about
am.
that.
Yeah.
Look at this bird just feeding his children. You're sitting there just
Yeah.
googing in the windows. Yeah, it's kind of crazy, but
Yeah. Get out of that bird's business.
Yeah.
But I think what's happening is that it forces people to get out of their head, right?
right.
And so it doesn't have to be birds. If you want to look at something else,
Right.
If you feel more comfortable leaving those birds be,
Okay.
you can just be like, I'm going to identify leaves.
okay.
right?
Yeah. I'm just going to absorb something out here.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's because then it gets you out of your head to look at the thing and focus on the thing. And so like those kinds of de-escalation approaches are some of the best things to do. The truth is though, there's like infinite things you can do with your anger. And so sometimes, you can channel it into problem solving. You can say, because ultimately what anger gives you is energy, right? I mean, it gives you energy to confront the injustice. And so, if you experience something that is truly unfair and you want to do something about it, well, there's lots of things you can do, right? You can protest, you can write letters to the editor, you can donate money, you can join all these causes to try and solve those problems.
Yeah.
That's a really good, healthy way to deal with your anger.
Yeah, you can hire one of those planes to write something in the sky.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Stop smoking, love mom, it says on it.
Yeah. Nice.
I know. My mom wanted me to stop.
Is that how she got you to stop? She rented a plane? And nice.
She did one year. Pretty sweet of her, kind of crazy.
That's really kind. Yeah. No.
But yeah, so you can put your anger into something.
Yep.
Is that legit? Is that a real thing you can do? Like put that in? Well, I guess you already are activated.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I this is the example I use. I came home. So when my kids were young, when your kids are young, like the only thing in the world you want is a little bit of time to yourself, right? At the house. And so I came home from work one day, and I think I knew in my head I had like 20 minutes before everybody else got home that I was just alone, right? And I thought I'm going to live my best life for 20 minutes, and then I checked the mail, and there was like a flyer in there.
Damn, that's your best life. I feel you, dude. Guys have the worst best lives. It's like, I'm gonna live it off, dude, and I'll just eat I'll just find an old can of peaches or something and open them and just try one.
Just like a pudding cup. And here we go.
And then your wife comes in and you're like, oh, she's like, this is so sad.
Yeah, this is for 20 minutes. I had this pudding cup.
Yeah, but I'm going to check this mail while everybody's just letting me be. I feel you, bro.
Exactly.
God,
so
we're idiots.
So I checked the mail, and there was like a flyer in there for some political candidate who was just saying like nasty stuff about this. And I got so mad. So I spent that 20 minutes. I sent an email to the guy I didn't like saying that was BS. What's wrong with you? I sent another email to the guy I did like and said like, hey, thanks. And then I donated money to the guy I was supporting. And so by the time I was done, family's home,
Right.
But that's what, I was exhausted when I came home, but anger gave me the energy to do something. Now, did I solve all the world's problems? No, but I did something, and it felt better afterwards to do that.
Right, and something that's more productive than just just like getting some spray paint and just tagging up writing profanity on a wall or doing
right.
I'm trying to think of anything that could be negative. Right, so because it was the mail that made you negative. So then you're like, what am I going to do with it now?
Yep.
But those are like safe ways. Nobody's going to get hurt.
Right. Exactly. Yep.
Is pornography causing a problem in your life? Do you find yourself watching porno for longer periods of time and having trouble stopping? Is porn affecting your relationship or dating life? Well, you're certainly not alone. Watching pornography has become so commonplace today, and oftentimes men use porn to numb the pain of loneliness, boredom, anxiety, and depression. Shame and stigma prevent men from talking about these issues and getting help for them. Well, I guess you could write a letter, but it used, you had to, it used to be probably more often you had to do face-to-face.
Right.
More often.
Yep.
And so you had to get the real reactions. You had to get the real feelings of what was going on. Whereas if you can just message it, it's still scary, but it must affect us differently emotionally over time. I wonder if that's valuable or not. Is this making any sense?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think what happens is a couple things. One, it's we get out of practice, right? You get out of practice interacting with people, and it becomes really easy to forget how what you're saying is impacting them in a very real and meaningful way, and how you may have hurt their feelings or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
What about some other options for the healthy processing of anger?
Well, so that's one of the things we didn't get to is you can think about what we've been talking about is how you handle your anger once you're feeling it. What we haven't talked about yet is how you can kind of create a life where you are more where you're managing it better in advance, right? Meaning,
that's what I need.
Yeah. So, if you think about that model I described before, right? You've got your trigger, you've got your mood at the time of the trigger, and you've got your interpretation. Well, you can intervene in any of those places, right? So you can we don't have control of every trigger we experience, but there are some we invite into our lives, right? Either on purpose or on accident.
Tiffany or whoever you're thinking about, or anybody specific it could be.
Sure. Even things like the example I always use is so I used to love scary movies. When I was growing up, I loved them. At a certain point, I realized, you know what? These are having a pretty negative effect on me, right? I'm staying up too late afterwards. I'm getting scared, whatever. So I started watching them less often, right? We can do that with provocations. We can say, I'm not going to watch the news as often as I used to. I'm not going to watch sports as often as I used to because it's getting to me in ways that aren't good for me.
Yeah.
We can even say, I'm going to change my commute up so that I don't find myself in traffic as often as I once did. I don't know if that's possible in Nashville, but
right. But even if it's longer, it's like I'm still going to change it up. So I'm just not because the traffic.
Yep.
That's a good point. Because sometimes though we will recognize the things that agitate us and still continue to do them.
Yep.
What is that called?
Yeah, I don't know if that has a name actually, but
But you know what I'm talking about?
yeah, no, I mean when people continue to sort of walk into those situations that leave them feeling frustrated.
Yeah. It's
absolutely.
like you want the agitation, like it's going to bother you, so then you're going to be able to be angry. Your anger almost becomes an addiction in a way.
And the worst thing that can happen there sometimes is we so anticipate that a situation is going to go poorly that we actually bring it out of that situation. Like we're going to Thanksgiving dinner and we know our uncle is going to be racist or whatever, and so we go there. And we end up sort of, first of all, we're hostile to them in advance in a way that it actually brings out their hostility back to us. And then also we sort of unintentionally like goat them into things.
Yeah.
And we
like
bring
we'll
it out.
even pass the black beans to them and then lose it on them for no reason or something,
Right.
Like, and they didn't do any. It's just like we're just waiting in our head, or we'll ask for the brown rice and they'll look at us a certain way and they just, they can't handle. Yeah. It's like, and then it's almost like, it's like a lot of times you set things up, how they're going to be. God, that's such an instance, man. What do you do in that instance? Because that's a huge one, I think.
Yeah. Well, I think it's about what I like to call like proactive emotion management, right? So it's saying, okay, I'm anticipating that this situation is going to go badly. What are some things that I can do now to prevent it from going the way I think it could go?
Right.
And so that might be, hey, let's give people the benefit of the doubt, right? That might be going into the situation and saying, let's not assume that they're going to do and say the worst thing. Let's go into that situation. Maybe I minimize my contact with them. Yeah, it's Thanksgiving, but I don't have to be in the same room with this person the entire night, and I can minimize how often I talk to them. Maybe it's you and your partner who you're at the event with. You have like a safe word, right? When you're getting frustrated, that some signal that you can do to send them a message saying like, "Hey, get me out of this," right? I mean, there's all these things we can do. It's just we have to be thoughtful about it in advance, and I think a lot of times we're not thoughtful about it.
Yeah, I'll struggle. I know sometimes, like if I know, like sometimes I can cut myself off, and I'd be like, hey, go introduce yourself in the beginning instead of keeping an air where it's like you have something in your head.
Yep.
Because I'm in recovery, and so I'll have a lot of things like I'll build a world in my head that's not really going on in the world around me.
Yep.
And so sometimes some of those things I can cut off, like, hey, go say, hey, how's things going?
Yeah.
That way you've already created the first space of communication. It's been cool. Everything's good. Then if they do say something sometimes that if you're expecting somebody to say a certain thing, it doesn't really land on you the same way.
Yep.
A lot of times for me it is I'll keep myself away from people if I know I'm agitated. Mm-hmm. So that's one of the things I think you said of just being able to prepare a little bit. But then it's like sometimes it's like that isolation builds on my own agitation because I'm always just kind of in my own world processing stuff.
Yeah. No, that's really interesting that like, we often do sort of create this world that may or may not be realistic. And we assume, people are going to be a certain way, they're going to do a certain thing, or they're thinking. Like we do a lot of mind reading, and we assume people think the way we think they think. And then
it's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, and what you just said about going up and introducing yourself or saying hi or whatever, that's really interesting because what it does is it gives you the opportunity to realize that what you're thinking isn't accurate. Yeah,
it's funny you say that because one thing we have learned a lot in recovery is just like not believing our brain.
Yeah,
that our perception of things is off.
Yep. I mean, that's really important. And it's like you want to trust yourself, but you also have to leave some room to say, you know what, hey, my understanding of the situation could be wrong. Right? Yeah. And when I meet people, I've gotta let them. I mean, yeah, I can go in and I can be cautious, right? That's one thing, but I shouldn't assume that my understanding of them is 1,000% accurate. Yeah.
Yeah, and the more I isolate and stuff, the more that bad perception builds.
Yep.
That's what's fascinating to me. It's like it grows its own muscles.
Yeah. And that is, I think if there's a thing that I find sort of most dangerous or worrisome about modern day America or the world is the degree to which we are isolating ourselves, especially from people that we might disagree with. And the degree to which we're not having like real conversations with people where we can get an opportunity to learn how they think, right? We make assumptions about what other people are doing and saying, and then we react to those assumptions more than we react to what's actually happening.
Yeah, it is interesting how much we become kind of puppetable by, like, I don't know if I just want to say mainstream media, but by bigger stories maybe that we didn't write ourselves, kind of.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, and when you think about what like the social media algorithms do and how we end up seeing the content that we agree with more regularly, we interact with people who think like us more regularly, right? We just are seeing that we're connected. I put that sort of in quotes, but connected to more people than ever before, but not really, because one, we're only seeing a very specific sliver of their lives, and we're not having this. We're not necessarily engaging with people who are different from us very regularly.
I mean, do you guys notice that we're any angrier now than we were in the past?
Yeah. This is. I wish we could go back in time and like have some sort of anger thermometer, right? That could measure anger over time, because this is the question that I think everybody wants to know the answer to is, are we angrier now than we used to be?
Yeah. And
in so many ways, it sure seems like we are, right? Because we see tons of examples of it. We see so much rage. I think the parts that we don't have answers to is one is a lot of that rage just more visible now than it used to be, right? Are we seeing it more now because of social media, right? So we get more stuff captured on video than we ever did. And that might be what's happening, that those things were happening before, we just didn't know. It could also be that particular expression styles have become normalized, right? So yelling, screaming, those things are like hostility. Those things are becoming more common.
Point, huh?
Yeah, and so maybe that anger was there, but those outward expressions are much more common now. I think there is some reason to think we're angrier now than we used to be. I mean, I think like the stuff we just were saying about social media is definitely bringing out.
The illusion, I think there used to be more of, I think like tradition we had, it felt like there was more of a sense of togetherness maybe. I wonder if those things left people feeling more complete or safer in their country. I do start to notice that there starts to feel a little bit of like, what could happen in 15 years? As opposed to, that was never a thought when I was a kid. It was always like, I feel like we're going to be okay here.
Right.
So I wonder if some of that, like, just subconsciously starts to boil inside of you.
Oh, I absolutely think so. I mean, I think, one of the things we're dealing with, and I think a lot of this is post-pandemic, but not just post-pandemic, is, so anger dovetails pretty closely with anxiety, right? That these two emotions are pretty similar. They actually feel pretty similar physiologically. So there's a lot of overlap there. And I think it's fair to say that Americans are, and probably worldwide, people are more anxious now about the future than they have been for a very long time, right?
Okay, yeah.
And that anxiety, it comes from a place of uncertainty about, safety and financial security and all these things.
Even having jobs. I mean, as they say, like AI is going to, every day here, AI is going to take your job, and the guy's like, I'm unemployed. And they're like, it'll take that job. You're like, Jesus, I can't even be unemployed anymore. But I think there is a little bit of fear. Even somebody who's just sitting on their couch watching, eating Fritos and just watching, TV shows all day, that even that job's going to be, they're going to be like, well, I'm going to lose this.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think that there is all of this uncertainty is leading to people, and because I think in some ways part of what happens is it leads to some competitiveness. It leads to like, hey, look, the pie is getting smaller that we all share. And I'm worried that I'm not going to have enough, right? And I'm not going to be able to make ends meet. And all of that leads to frustration with your fellow humans, right?
Oh yeah, because your perspective is suddenly I've got to take care of myself instead of like we have to take care of each other.
Exactly.
And that gets a little creepy.
Exactly.
What do we do with pervasive anger at society and ideology? Situation out of control.
I think that's another thing that happened during the pandemic is that I think a lot of people in the United States and probably globally really started to feel like they couldn't trust each other.
Yeah.
And I think that happened in lots of ways, right? It was sort of a sense of, hey, people aren't going to, they're more interested in themselves than they are in taking care of each other, right? They won't, do X, Y, or Z. They won't wear masks. They won't open things up. They're not worried about my finances. They're not, they're only worried about their own thing. And I think that scared people and led to a lot of animosity amongst people.
When I think also people didn't know if their government cared anymore.
Yep.
Which was even like which was probably similar.
Yeah.
In the sense that we're like, can I trust my government? Can I trust like, you see stories like the opioid epidemic. Mm-hmm. And you're like, the fact that the family didn't even go to jail or face any time, and the amount of, the amount of pain that caused so many families, not to mention deaths.
Right.
But I think, things like that, it makes you start to question. So if you don't even think, if you can, you can always kind of question your government. I think that's safe, and question society and what's going on. It's good to think curiously, but I feel like that was probably another thing that happened is people were like, I don't know. Every commercial's about drugs. Like, it's just like, where can I get valid information and who can I trust?
Yep.
And it probably became scary. You're like, I have to start with myself.
Yep. And I think that sort of uncertainty leads to feelings of frustration, leads to, and I think part of what happened too is that for some people they felt like, well, the answers here are obvious.
Yeah.
And so why don't other people see how obvious these answers are? And I don't know that the answers were necessarily obvious, but I think that people felt like, why can't people just do whatever, and then we can get through this.
Right.
And when other people...
You mean during COVID, you mean?
Yeah, during COVID.
Yeah.
And then,
I think people had just real different views of it. It was like in California, things were very locked down. And then here, things were more open.
Yep.
And it was like, what's the best way to do this? It was hard to learn.
It was even, I live in Green Bay, and we've got, there's the Green Bay public schools, and there's other public school districts that are like connected, and they're all doing different things. And so there's a sense of, well, here we're doing this, 5 miles away they're doing something different. Why? What's going on? And so then there's an anger and frustration amongst the people who live in those communities, and then people saying, well, I'm going to take my kids and send them to that school because they're doing this, or I'm going to, and so all of these things started to bubble up and lead to frustration.
Yeah, a lot of frustration.
Yeah.
And I know how to do it. People wanted to, the second you don't trust or believe that your society that's built kind of is looking out for you, or you can trust it, then it really, you got to go back to yourself.
Well, and then, imagine if we're not talking about society, we're just talking about a family, right? And you as like a kid in a family realize, wow, the other people in this family aren't necessarily going to do the things that are best for me.
Right.
It becomes real hard to continue to feel good about that, and over time, right?
Oh.
People have to earn that trust back. And I think we're right now in a phase where people don't feel like anyone's earning that trust back. They're just like, we still don't trust each other. They don't have my best interests in mind. They don't care about the same things as me. What am I going to do? How are we going to get through this? And I don't think anybody's got any answers to that.
Yeah. Yeah, I wonder if it's one of those things that just takes time, or, right. That's always the thing.
Yeah. I think you're right. I think time is going to be part of it. I hope that there are things we can rally around.
Humor is usually a good one.
Yeah, absolutely.
I know they're trying to put out
you would say that. You're a comedian.
That's probably true. I would hope to say it, huh?
Yeah.
They just had a new show, Tires, on Netflix, which is really crazy.
I've seen an ad for it. I haven't watched it yet.
It's different than a lot of stuff they put on there. It's just it seems like it's from totally the 80s or something. It's just kind of just humor without like judging that every person in the show has to have certain like like you're just letting people be, they could be characters. Like you could have a character you're like, oh, that guy's hilarious, but I don't agree with him.
Okay.
Whereas to be like, oh, that guy, I'm not even going to see if he is hilarious because I don't agree with the character.
Right.
And it's like, dude, it's okay.
Right.
You know, so like just things being more possible or just open their brains to like, okay, a character could believe differently than I do.
Right. Yep.
Right? Because I think for a while it's been like, I don't even want my characters to have any different views than I do. That's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
When you think about that.
Yeah. I mean,
I'm drowning, but I only want a superhero to show up if he feels exactly the same way I do.
Yeah. Well, it's tough. I mean, like, you know, I think one of the tricky things we've had to deal with is that there are opinions that people can like sort of rally around. There are opinions that people can like disagree with and in an understandable, reasonable way, right? Reasonable disagreements. But then so often those disagreements are about like real scary stuff. It's not me disagreeing about like, hey, is Cats a good movie? I don't know why I picked Cats. I think it's because my son loved the movie Cats.
Oh, he did? I haven't seen it, I don't think.
Okay. I'm not going to recommend it.
Okay.
Yeah. That's my that's my advice to you. That's if you walk away with one thing from this episode is that you probably shouldn't see Cats.
Fair.
Yeah. So, yeah. I mean, so it's one thing to like disagree about that, right? Totally different if we're talking about things that like really do have have real consequences for people.
Oh, for sure.
You know, like there are some opinions that we can just agree to disagree, and then there's other stuff that is like, no, this is real personal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. People didn't used to care about it that much though.
Yeah.
They did. I think it is interesting how much, like people used to never talk about politics that much. You would kind of say maybe who you were going to vote for and kind of sometimes you give a couple lines about it, but you never, I feel like, would be like, oh, screw you for voting for that. Like it would never, even the thought would never come into your head, I feel like.
Yeah, it does feel like it's taken center stage. And I wonder how much of that is I mean, it's probably a lot of it is exacerbated by social media. I suspect the 24-hour news cycle also led to that too, right?
That ruined a lot of stuff. That created a lot of anger.
Yeah. Yep.
Because we used to be able to take a day off, half the day off.
Yep.
But now they're like, oh, you need a little more anger.
Yeah. Well, and intentionally so. I mean, it's like, so there's plenty of research out there that says that, you know, content, news, or anything else that makes people angry or scared is far more likely to go viral than other stuff, right? And so politicians know that, and just purely from a financial perspective, if you put an ad out that makes people mad, it's going to get more clicks. It's going to get, I mean, you double the value essentially of that ad by making people mad with it, right?
Yeah.
So there are people who are benefiting financially from our rage. And that's not just true with politicians. That's true with you know, Fox News, CNN, et cetera. They want to make people mad.
Yeah.
Get them going.
Yeah. Instead of just having an article, they'll reframe the title so it has an enemy.
Yeah. Yep.
That's pretty crazy. Yep. Dealing with anxiety and stress in the age of the 24/7 news cycle.
Interesting.
Let me see. Whether it's the coronavirus, political divisiveness, threats of terrorism, or mass shootings, you might not be immediately affected by these issues, but constant exposure to 24-hour news and social media, which is often heavily skewed towards the negative, can adversely influence your mental health and overall well-being. More than 70% of Americans believe the media blows things out of proportion, which may seem harmless, but it could lead to increased stress and anxiety. Wow. So, but the tough part is if we're addicted to it, though.
Right. Yep.
That's the tough part, is that if we're addicted to it.
Yeah. I mean, that's because, I mean, you know, people are drawn to this thing that ultimately causes them harm.
Right.
You know? And
what is that? Has that always been? I mean, has it just been since the apple in the Garden of Eden, you know?
I mean, information is, I mean, people crave information, right? I mean, that's another emotion that I like to talk about sometimes is curiosity, right? And people do crave information. It makes them feel good about themselves, especially if they can share it with other people. It's like a form of social currency. Knowing things is, better than not knowing things. And so people are drawn to media. And then when that media makes them mad, they're more likely actually to share it with other people. They're more likely because it gets the reaction they want, right?
Yeah.
So if I came in here and told you just some sort of arbitrary fact, you'd be like, that's great. But if I came in here and told you something that made you really mad, now I'm getting a reaction.
I'd be like, what the heck?
Yeah.
What are we going to do about it?
Exactly.
It's pretty crazy.
And then we problem solve.
So we've kind of like death hacked ourselves in a way. Like there's life hacks, and then I feel like there's death hacks, and I feel like sometimes the algorithm does that, you know, or the possibility to always have it at your fingertips. Because I'll find if I'd rather just chill or meditate, or if I'd rather go find something to make me angry, I sometimes would like to find something to make me angry.
Yeah. I get that. Yeah. Because, I mean, it does. I think for some people, that anger feels powerful, right? I mean, it's like there's a sense. I mean, we talked earlier about it sometimes feeling helpless, but there's a piece of like the heart rate increase, the blood pressure increase, the muscle tension that leads to these feelings of excitement.
Yeah. Well, it feels like it activates you.
Yep. Exactly.
Is there a such thing as like a healthy anger? And then what is the difference between like a healthy anger and a rage? Yeah. Is that noticeable?
Yeah. So what I would say is that when it comes to anger, I tend to think of all emotions as not having, they aren't positive or negative on their own. They're just information systems, right? And it's good to feel things. In fact, if I had a wish for people, it would be that they felt the whole sort of range of emotions, right? That's what would be good for them, but in a nuanced way, meaning that they could evaluate whether or not this thing is that they're feeling is good for them or bad for them in a particular context. So when I think about healthy versus unhealthy anger, a big piece of it is what is it doing for me or to me, right? So what kind of consequences am I experiencing? For some people, those consequences can be physical, right? They can have like heart problems or muscle tension or chronic headaches or things like that. For some people, those consequences are like relationships. They get in a lot of verbal and physical fights, online fights. For some people, those consequences are property damage. They break stuff.
Steal stuff.
Yep. So, I mean, sometimes though, it's like other negative emotions. It's like I get mad and then afterwards I feel guilty about something I said. And so I feel real sad later, or I get scared that, my partner's going to leave me or I'm going to get in trouble. And so they have these other negative emotions. Talk about people like...
That's me. I'll get upset and then I'll apologize quickly usually, but when I get into moments of really being really upset, it's hard for me to manage myself.
Yeah. And then do you end up feeling sort of like guilty about it?
I'll feel remorseful. I'm usually good at being able to apologize pretty quickly.
That's good.
Being able to notice my space in it. But the fact that it happens at all, is something that has been uncomfortable for me, I think.
Yeah. Man, I appreciate you saying that.
I didn't mean to interrupt you there.
No, that's all right. I think that's, it connects to, like, for a lot of people, their anger leads to things like substance abuse. It leads to overeating. It leads to substance abuse defined broadly, like alcohol, nicotine included, right?
Yeah.
People find ways of coping with their anger because they don't have better ways. And so they end up turning to drugs or alcohol.
Oh yeah,
and that's that ends up having consequences. And yeah,
was there more you want to say? Sorry.
No, it's. I think that sort of covers it. But I think the big thing is there are lots and lots of consequences to unhealthy anger, right? But there's also lots of good things we can do with it, right? There's lots of ways that we can turn our anger into those positive ways. And so when people think about, okay, what's the impact of this on me and on those people around me, is to really sort of evaluate what the outcome is.
Right. So if you can take a moment to evaluate what the outcome's going to be.
Yeah. Yep.
Like what's going to happen right now, I'm upset. So if I act on it Then I'm gonna have to apologize later. I'm gonna be bummed out at myself.
Yep.
So right now I'm upset at somebody else and maybe even at myself.
Yep.
And then later I'll have to apologize to somebody and probably then be a little bit disheartened in myself for my actions.
Yeah.
So it's like, what do I really want? Or do I just want things to kind of be chill?
See, I love what you're saying right now, because to me, one of the best lessons people can learn about anger or any emotion is when I'm feeling it, I need to stop for a second and think about what my goals are. What's the thing where do I want this situation to end?
Right.
And sometimes that is like, if I get mad on my way to work because somebody cut me off, right now I could drive them off the road and get in a fight with them, but does that get me to work on time, right? No. In the way I want? Like, my goal is to get to my destination safely. And so I should focus on that. And anything else that I try and do in that moment doesn't serve me.
Yeah.
And I mean, I use an exaggerated example, but even giving them the finger or honking at them, all those things just serve to distract me from my actual goal.
Yeah.
And we can think about that in a gajillion different other places, right? If I'm scrolling through social media and I see a post that bugs me, yeah, I can fight back, or I can argue or whatever, or I can think about, well, why am I here? Why am I in this space? What is the point of arguing? Maybe there's a good reason to, and I should, or maybe there's a good reason for me to just scroll on and not care.
Yeah, and I was just thinking when you said that, the social media definitely it almost deflates our anger in some ways, because instead of, a lot of times, it used to be maybe if enough people got angry about something, they would go protest, they would make a difference, they would boycott, they would not use a product, or they would stand up. But now it almost feels like you can comment into almost a vacuum because of how quick things disappear.
Yep.
And you can just say, well, I commented, or I said, or I
did
posted,
something.
right, I did something. But then it kind of like just satiates enough the human desire to do something where we don't end up doing things. And then we, as a group, get kind of further and further into this crevasse.
I think that is a real problem. I think you're absolutely.
Really?
I do. I think you're absolutely right that a big part of what happens is there's this social media. And I don't want to minimize social media activism, because there are forms of it that are really powerful and really meaningful. But there are also forms of it that don't do much, right? But they I think you use the word satiate, right? They give you a sense of like, I did something, and because I did something, I can now rest, right? I had my impact.
Right, I had my human impact, but it's not. Sometimes and it changes so much.
Right.
It changes so much, whereas like every day there's a new option almost.
Yep.
So the thing you impacted is just, they've almost just replaced it with something new.
Yep. And there's a new thing to be mad about too, right? You've got a new, I've got a new both outlet, but also, thing to focus
topic,
on. Yeah.
Moved right along.
Yep.
Here's an article that was in The Atlantic. The problem with social media protests. Before the internet changed the speed at which the world moves, movements were slower growing. A year of organizing and directly advocating for change led to a 13-month-long Montgomery bus boycott that began with Rosa Parks' act of resistance. Right, that's what it used to be like. By contrast, mass protests such as Occupy Wall Street formed rapidly, but then, lacking that underlying resilience created over time, often lost focus, direction, and, most important, their potential to affect change.
Interesting. So in some ways, it feels like what they're saying is when you put a lot of work into something in advance, then you want to see it through in ways that social media protests don't have that, right? It's like, I've been thinking about this for a week, so I don't need to keep thinking about it. I mean, I don't have as much sunk into this.
No, and if I close the app, I'm not even an activist anymore.
Right. Interesting.
It's kind of interesting, huh?
Yeah.
I grew up in a home where there was a lot of anger, right? It was probably our number one emotion that we had.
Right.
It was just farm to table there. It was like, it was 100% grass fed anger.
All right.
And it was just the only way that we communicated. How much of a responsibility is it of parents to like teach kids what their feelings are?
Right. Yeah, I love this. So real quick, when you say there was a lot of anger, was it mostly like outward expressed, like yelling, screaming, stuff like
mostly yelling, screaming, throwing things,
right.
Judgment.
Okay.
Those are like the main emotions, and then humor.
Okay. Nice.
So, but otherwise it was just always, you knew somebody was going to be angry.
Where were you in the birth order?
I was number 2. I have an older brother and 2 sisters.
Okay, and the sisters are both younger than you?
Yep, they're both younger, and everybody's alive still, pretty much.
Okay, pretty much. That's good.
I mean, some people are,
Got it.
they're willing to risk it all, but some of us are doing our best. So, but so that's where we at, and that it was just there was a lot of anger in there.
I think that my feeling is with kids in particular. I mean, we can think about this from I'll start with what I consider to be sort of the golden rule of emotion and parenting, and that is that kids tend to express emotions the way their caregivers did. And so they tend to, and it's rooted in like age-old psychology that's called modeling, right? And so kids tend to model what their parents did. That if mom or dad yell and scream, kids tend to yell and scream as a way of dealing with emotions. And now there's some caveats to that, because simultaneously the other side is that kids sometimes get rewarded or punished for emotional expressions of particular types, right? So a kid hits somebody and they get punished for it. Now, oddly enough, sometimes they get punished for it by getting hit by the parent, right? Getting spanked or whatever.
Right. That's kind of wild when you think about it like that.
Right. And so, or they get in trouble for yelling by being yelled at. So like there's all sorts of mixed messages there.
Damn.
But to me, I mean, some of the healthiest things you can do with kids when you're trying to raise emotionally wise children is to talk about feelings often, to give them the language to have that conversation, to help them identify what they're feeling.
Yeah,
I think that's a big problem for a lot of people, for a lot of kids, and it continues, is they don't know the difference between anger and sadness. They don't know the difference between fear and anger.
Oh yeah, I would just start vibe.
Yeah.
Every night you see that kid, he's just vibrating. You don't know what's going on. You got to show him a flashcard or something.
Yeah. And
say that's joy, that's anger,
Yeah.
because you don't know.
Right. And so helping kids one of the things I like to do with my kids and liked when they were young is to unpack those emotional experiences with them, and not just their own, but when they see a kid, melting down, or a kid getting angry or sad or scared or whatever, to say, so what do you think's going on? Like where did that come from? Why, if we're watching TV and a kid react some way.
Just so at least that they can have in their own head. Like, okay, this is what happens when this happens.
Yep.
This is what I look like when it happens. This is where I can start to see in somebody else what's going on, and then you'll recognize it in yourself, and at least have some sort of, you'll be the conductor in some way as much as you can.
Yep.
Of maybe some of the outcomes, if not some of the origins of the feeling.
Yeah. And then you can even talk through, what are some options for him now, right? This kid's just had this, just is feeling really hurt. What can he or she do to deal with those feelings of hurt? And I think those are like good, healthy ways. But I think it starts with wanting to make sure people are having those conversations, that people are really understanding it. Because part of what happens too is that people can realize that, we like to believe, and I've even been saying, look, your feelings are one of the ways your brain tells you what's going on, what you're experiencing. That doesn't necessarily mean that they're rooted in logic or reality, or that they're even really valid, right? We can be angry over a misunderstanding. We can be scared over something that's not really dangerous. And the feelings are real, right? And we shouldn't minimize that, but we should take some time to unpack them and talk about what's going on. Why are you feeling this way?
I think that kind of stuff is important, at least because I think for myself, a long time, I didn't know a lot of feelings I was even having. I didn't know. I only knew a couple. I remember certain things would go on and I wouldn't really have any feelings about it. And I was like, man, I never really had a lot of feelings. So I think sometimes talking with your kids like, oh, this is a feeling. That's what that is.
Yeah.
This is what's going on. Because otherwise you can just think you're bonkers as a child, you know? Like if somebody doesn't tell you kind of what's happening with you.
Well, a lot of times kids aren't really allowed to have feelings, right? I mean, that they're shamed for them.
Yeah.
That the message is, hey, hold that in. Don't let people see that. And then, I mean, of course, that's going to continue into adulthood, where they don't feel like they're allowed. They don't feel like it's safe to express that stuff.
I was thinking if you allow your kids, right, like space to feel their feelings, okay, does that create in them, like, you know, recognize they're feeling something, allow them a little space to feel it, right? Yeah, does that create like more of like an emotional resilience in them, which would just then when they're angry again, it would just kind of become another emotion to them, sort of like, does that make any sense?
Yeah, I mean, I think what you really want.
So then in the future they could cope better. So if it happens to them next time, it'd be like, okay.
Yep. Because what you really want is, I mean, you want a situation where your kids can, when they're feeling something, A, know what they're feeling, B, have a sense for where it's coming from, understand like its root causes, be able to critically evaluate those root causes, and then know what to do with it, right? And I mean, and that's a level of sophistication that I don't think, frankly, most people are capable of. But it's because we haven't given them the space or the tools to do that over their lifetime. And I think we're way better at this as a society now than we were when you and I were kids, right?
Yeah.
Like we're way better at trying to provide those tools to kids. But it comes with them. It comes with people being able to have those conversations to say, hey, let's talk about what you're feeling right now. Not in a like necessarily a judgment or punishy way. Like, hey, you just got real mad. You hit your brother. Let's have a conversation about that. Let's talk about better ways to handle that. Let's make sure we make up for what we did. So it's not like it's consequence free. People oftentimes accuse me of being sort of wimpy and like, hey, you're letting your kids walk all over you. They got to get punished or whatever. It's not that it's consequence free. It's like, no, we're gonna deal with those feelings and try and figure out sort of the best way to handle it. And yeah, that helps them develop that emotional resilience going forward.
Yeah, at least having some emotional understanding of yourself.
Yep.
But how do you then like put the cap on it where you're like, yeah, it's okay if my kid is angry, you know, like we're like, how do we not turn into one of these societies where it's just like, oh, I don't feel like going to work today, so I'm not going to go.
Yeah.
You know, like that's nobody ever feels like going to work. That's the first thing it should tell you when you ever go to school.
Yeah.
One day you're going to go to work and nobody's going to feel like it. That should be the first thing that they teach us.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's true. Like the message also has to be that your emotions alone aren't necessarily reason not to do something. Yeah. You know, I mean, that's I have two kids. Both of them are very, very awesome in different ways. But the one is he's a performer. He's a dancer, and he's in a lot of musicals and things like that. And one of the things that I can say about him is people often talk about how brave he is, and he is. But I know him well enough to know that he gets real anxious about performing in those things. He's feeling that fear. It's not that he's not scared, it's that he knows how to do things anyways. And that's where you want people to get. Like, you want people to get to a point of, right now, you know what, I'm feeling sad and I don't feel like being able to go, I don't feel like going to work, but I also need to do it. I understand what my responsibilities are, and I can work through that. And I think like there's something to be said for, I mean, to me, that's a big part of what emotional resilience is. It's being able to feel things and then overcome those feelings at times.
Right. And I think if you give your kids space for that, it feels like you're going to, that's a armor you can create in them as well.
Yep.
It's like, hey, you feel sad right now, or you feel a little disappointed. This is how you can manage that right now. And look, 5 minutes later, wow, look, we're right back to where we were before. Everything's good. So then when they have those things happen in their own lives, when you're not around, they're going to have like some sort of, even if it's just brief little check-ins from a parent are huge.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. I mean, and this isn't just about parenting. This is about being a supervisor. It's about being a human being. You can be sensitive and have expectations. Yeah. Right? You can be sensitive to your kids' emotional needs and have things you expect them to do. You can be sensitive to your employees and have expectations of them. Right. You know, and And frankly, you can be sensitive to yourself, and you can be sort of patient and caring with yourself and still have expectations for what you want to accomplish.
Yeah. That's a tough one sometimes.
Yeah.
Giving yourself some grace.
I'm terrible at it.
Are you?
Yeah, I am. Yeah, I'm really hard on myself.
Yeah, me too, man.
Yeah.
God.
That probably, remember when we were talking about type A at the beginning, right? That's probably part of it, right? Is like you're competitive, you're success driven, and that means you want to accomplish certain things, and that means being a certain way. Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting because I don't know when I would ever give myself the benefit of the doubt very often, you know? I almost have to have someone say, hey, man, give yourself some grace here.
Right.
You know? Like feel some pride, you know? I think, and then sometimes I don't blame this on my being a kid or whatever, but I think I never knew anything. I never knew I never knew what I was feeling or what was going on. So I think even things like that with your kid, like, hey, man, you can feel proud of yourself. Like, I know some of it sounds lame probably in some senses, but the cost of not doing it with your kids, I think, can be kind of immense.
Yep.
Because growing up not knowing, having my own sense of what's okay for me leaves me at the whim of what other people think is okay for me, you know? And that can just get kind of harrowing. I'm not... you know, trying to woe is me. That's not fully my story, but I could see it being really risky for folks, you know?
For me, one of the things that's been really helpful is to surround myself with really good people who care about me, and that there are people who you know, when I'm being hard on myself, sometimes it's nice to have a friend who can sort of step in and remind me, like, hey, you know, it's okay to not have things happen exactly as you want them. It's okay to take a break and just be proud of what you accomplished today. And it's nice to have people in your life who can support you that way. It feels like we always have to be making something better these days too. Yeah.
Like that it would be like, if you knew somebody and something was wrong with them, people would just be like, dang, something's wrong with him.
Yep.
You know? And then 10 years later, people would be like, dang, how's Ernie? And then people like, something is wrong with him. Like it had escalated, you know? Like he bought an empty swimming pool and he was spending time in there. And so, but now it's like...
Was that a real story? Is there a real person you know who bought an empty swimming pool? And
there was some men in our neighborhood that would kind of like... meet up or whatever in like this empty swimming pool at night and smoke weed or whatever.
Whenever I hear you drop an example like that, part of me is like, did that just come from his brain, or is that like a real thing? Yeah.
Oh no, that was a real thing, dude.
All
we grew up in a very shirtless area, if you will. It was a lot of people whistling and no shirts. Just a lot of
I like
people
that
doing their best.
That was a good description. I like that.
Yeah.
I can imagine what this
Amen,
this area was like.
We grew up in the stray animal belt, brother. So there was just a lot of
shirtless people and
no
dogs.
collars on these animals either. You know what I'm saying? Everybody was just risking it all. Can we still have childhood anger as adults? Like what happens to anger from our childhood that isn't processed, or what happens to unprocessed anger?
Yeah, you know, I think two things can be true here, right? I think on the one hand, we can absolutely still have, you know, anger and resentment and stuff that happened when we were a kid that we continue to be mad about forever. I also think that it's sort of never too late to process some of that stuff, right? I mean, you know, and that there's no reason why in your 40s or 50s you can't start to deal with some of the stuff that you were mad about still from childhood. It might be harder, and I also think we have to be honest about what the outcome is going to be, right? I mean, we have to recognize that some of those things, I guess, think about what dealing with it looks like, because I can't.
It's a good point. You brought it up earlier with the other topic. Is like what outcome you want to have. What was the other one?
Yeah, no, it's like, what are your goals here? Right. And I think the thing is, like, you know, when you're I'm 48 years old, right? When you're 48, you might not be able to fix the bad stuff that happened that you're still frustrated by. So that can't be the goal. But maybe it is to forgive. Maybe it's to better understand where, if it is a person who wronged you, where that person was coming from. I mean, those are all things that we can try and process, ways we can try and deal with. Maybe it's just to forgive ourselves for you know, not handling it in a different way.
man, forgive ourselves for not being able to forgive people even.
Yeah.
That sounds crazy.
Right.
Because that sometimes it's like, that's crazy. I never thought about that. Sometimes it's not even that I'm upset anymore as much that I can't forgive the person.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I start to get upset at myself because I can't forgive the person. So I'm not upset at the person anymore.
Right.
I'm just upset at me because I'm having trouble forgiving. Is that crazy?
Not crazy. That's really interesting and insightful, right? I'm still mad at this person. I feel like I shouldn't be, and I'm struggling.
Now I'm mad at me because I can't forgive them.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. Sometimes that. Yeah, I would just notice it can hop from one thing like that, and I don't even know exactly what I'm mad about. You know.
That's what I was thinking about it earlier. Like, so I was once a really bad student. Like,
Really?
I know that's
Really?
surprising to people. Yeah, I really, really struggled in high school, and I actually failed out of my first university.
My God.
I know it was, and a lot of it came. I mean, it came from a lot of different places. Like one of them was, so I was a diehard soccer player and soccer fan at the time, and I had a hard time like not being more interested in that than in school.
Okay, so you just loved soccer so much.
Yep, and same thing. I drank too much my first year in college too. That was relevant. Not in high school at all, but in college that was a problem. But also, I just hadn't developed a lot of like the study skills necessary to be successful, and so I still like. I years later, I still find myself sort of struggling with that, like mad at myself for not having done better, mad at myself for not having made more of my college experience. Because what happened is I took a break, like 6 months off. I traveled a little bit. I was very, very fortunate that like I had a safety net. It didn't mean I was like homeless. I could
you could afford to go somewhere and travel.
Yep, and I could live with my mom for a little while I sort of figured things out in ways that a lot of my students can't. And so having that, I went back to college and I kind of got it together right after taking a little break, but I'm mad at myself still for not having a different kind of college experience.
Wow. Yeah, man, that's funny. I'll get upset at myself with that I didn't have a blast in college sometimes. Like that's just this general term that's in my head. Man, I'm upset that I didn't have a blast in college.
Yeah.
But if I went and looked through a calendar and shit, people would be like, dude, you had a great time.
Right.
It's like sometimes I don't even remember things correctly. It's like my perspective of them isn't even clean or clear. And then I'll get upset at unreal. And then I'll be like, fuck, man, I got to fucking... Or I'll be like, dang, man, I got to enroll somewhere.
Yep.
I could still be a mascot. I can't play, but I could still be a mascot. You just start going, and then it's like I'm in this weird anger against myself, and it's maybe the perspective wasn't clear, Well, a
lot of times our emotions, our memories of emotional experiences aren't accurate.
Dude, why?
And so, I mean, part of it is that we hit the highlights or the lowlights, right? And so, like, if you think about and so actually somebody did a study on this where they had people monitor their emotions over the course of a week-long vacation. And then when they came back, they took a survey. How did you enjoy the vacation, right? And what they found is that there was very little correlation between those two things because when people are at the end of a trip, when they're saying, how did you feel? They're reflecting on the high points or the low points, right? And they're just thinking like the overall experience was super rad. I was in Jamaica. It was great. I loved it. What they forget is, how long it took to get their luggage. What they forget, like getting stuck in traffic for hours and hours and hours.
Bugs or whatever.
Yep, all that stuff. And so
violence or whatever.
Yep. And so they forget all that stuff and they just focus on those other things. And I think the same thing could be true of college, right? It's like you think about sort of the high points or the low points. You don't think about the other sort of elements, the things that happen, the day in and day out stuff.
Yeah.
And or sort of we think about like an overall theme of what it was like instead of those day in and day out experiences.
Yeah, I think it's called chunking or something. I'm not sure why our memory does that. I've been reading this book by this guy, Dr. Sangarath, but it's about our memories and stuff. It's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Dude, sometimes when it comes to my anger and stuff, I will even like like I think I remember being so angry sometimes as a kid. I almost like I enjoy my anger in a way because it's like I had such a relationship with it. I don't know if that sounds crazy or not.
No, it doesn't. I mean, I think
I don't enjoy it as in I want to like act it out or something or vandalize a shelter or whatever. But like that I want to, like if there's a part of me still that when I get angry, it connects to that kid part of me that was angry. And it's like, it's ours, you know?
Right. Well, I think all of us, like, we've been talking about anger as an emotion, and it is, but it's also sometimes a personality trait, right? It's a.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I mean, it's a characteristic. Like there are some people who are just angrier than others. There are some people who express their anger more outwardly or experience more consequences, and because of that, and I think with any personality trait, sometimes as human beings, we cling to things that we sort of like as defining characteristics, right? And so like, and we cling to those as things that like make us proud of ourselves or that we enjoy or whatever. So maybe a person says, well, hey, like I'm kind. That's just who I am. And I lean into that. Maybe someone leans into the idea that they're an angry person and that it's, that's kind of how they identify. I think that's true, especially because and this, I'm not advocating for this, but anger is how a lot of successful people get things done, right? Did you ever watch the show Entourage?
Yeah.
Okay, so Ari Gold, that character, that's rooted in a real life person, and who I think had used those kinds of
tactics,
tactics, and used angry, aggressive approach to manipulate people and to get people to do what he wanted, right? And so like that's someone who I think probably like appreciates that he identifies as an angry person, right?
He appreciates that he identifies that way?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's like this is just part of who I am, and it's part of what makes me successful. Right?
Oh, I see. But then is that just a cop out of somebody that doesn't want to deal with their anger, though?
Probably. Yeah. I mean, I think for a lot of people, that's them. I think they're scared to change. It's like, I mean, if this is the thing that I've identified as making me successful, well, then dealing with it might mean that I'm no longer
going to be successful.
Going to be good at what I do.
But if it's a trait, then so it can be a real thing that some people are just are.
Yeah, I mean, I think like any trait,
like without any without any.
Yeah, I think there's still provocations. I just think that they're quick. That it doesn't take as much, right? And so it doesn't take as much of a provocation to make someone mad.
Okay.
And it's still, I mean, it still comes from a combination of upbringing, probably some genetics. That people are more likely to be angry much of the time. And so it still comes from that place.
What are parenting strategies to assist kids with coping with anger?
Yeah.
Like not feeling anger very often, or like what are some of those, do you feel like?
Yeah, I mean, I think for what I would say is there's when it comes to kids, one of probably the most important things to do is help them develop the tools that allow them to sort of find ways to decrease their anger in the moment, right? And that's oftentimes for kids going to be deep breathing. It's going to be distraction is actually a really good one. So find something else you can do for a little while. Maybe we talked about drawing earlier. Maybe it's playing with Legos. Maybe it's petting your dog, whatever. Things like that allow you to sort of de-escalate.
Yeah.
The other side of it is, helping kids identify where they have some control. And this is harder with kids because I think they have a little less control in their day-to-day life. Where can kids have control in their surroundings and their environment? How can they sort of do less of the things that provoke that might provoke anger, right? My other son is a diehard basketball fan, and he's a player and fan, and so we've been watching the NBA quite a bit. I'm from Minnesota originally, so
so you guys are in, huh?
Yeah, so we're Timberwolves fans, but and he handles, they won last night, that was great, but they've been, they're down a couple games,
3-1, yeah,
yeah, and he handles it well, but it takes a toll on him. Like he gets sad. He's 12 years old. He gets sad when they lose, and so that's the kind of thing that like over time, you want to think about what kind of impact that's having. You want to think about how much it's influencing you. You want to think about whether or not it's
As a
good for
parent, you mean?
Yeah.
Like a kid doing something, if it's something that like what they're absorbing, you mean?
Yeah. I mean, as a parent, you want them to be thinking about how much time they're spending on this thing that ends up taking an emotional toll on
Got it.
them. Yeah.
Is it good to let your children feel anger?
I think so. I mean, I think like anything, I mean, up to a point, I think it's good to let them, because that's how they're going to deal with I think the art of dealing with emotions is I liken it to exercise. I saw a post of yours working out the other day, right? You're on a run or something like that.
Oh, yeah. I like to run.
Yeah, me too. Every day.
You do?
I do, yeah.
Oh, wow.
I think it's great for my mental health, great for everything. But the thing about, I think it's similar, dealing with emotions is similar to exercise in that, when you exercise, you push yourself to a place of discomfort,
okay,
but never so uncomfortable that it's actually harmful, right? Mm-hmm. And I think you can do the same thing with emotions. You can push yourself into a zone where this emotion is uncomfortable for me, but it's not so uncomfortable that I'm suffering, right? And so it's like I want to feel some fear because I want to get used to dealing with that discomfort, and I want to sort of learn to cope with it. But I don't want to feel so much fear that I'm like on the floor shaking or anything like that.
Yeah.
And with kids, I want them to feel some anxiety and learn that they can just do the thing anyways.
Yeah.
I want them to feel some fear, some anger, and learn that they can do the thing anyways, and work through it. That's a good, healthy way to be.
Yeah, it's just interesting when you think about like that it's a parent's responsibility to do all of that,
Right.
Like
Right.
how many little things that they learn because of how the parents let them absorb it, or
and that's, I think, one of the challenges is I imagine that our parents' age didn't. It wasn't on their radar to be thinking about stuff like this.
No,
that they just didn't know, and so they weren't necessarily attuned to like what kids might need or benefit from an emotional perspective.
Yeah, it was a different time. Another thing that really I'll get angry is if I expect people to, it's kind of unrealistic expectations, but it's thinking people should know what I want even if I haven't explained it.
Yeah, there's a name for this and it's escaping me right now, but there is that sort of like it's like the opposite of mind reading. It's like they should be able to read your mind, right? And know exactly. Yeah, and so it's like, hey, why don't they know exactly the way I want this thing done? And then why aren't they doing it that way? Yeah. And for people who are ambitious and people who, are success driven, then that becomes a sticking point. It's part of that type A thing that I mentioned before, right? It becomes a sticking point and leads to that frustration. Why isn't it happening the way I want it to?
What other personality types and what types of angers do they have? Do they have all of specific angers or not really? You just find that type A has more. Yeah,
I mean, type A is, originally part of how it was sort of identified was that it was that people with type A, with that behavior pattern, they called it at the time, they were angrier, more aggressive.
Yeah, because one of the things you mentioned was goals being blocked. And I guess if you're driven like that or have that extra like drive, which can be a blessing and a curse sometimes, then you would have more goals just even generally floating around in your head.
Yeah. Another strategy, not like the disorder, obsessive compulsive disorder, but sort of an obsessive compulsive personality type is also associated with anger for similar reasons. It's like I want things the way I want them. And because I want them this way, when other people don't live up to that expectation, it makes me mad, right?
Yeah.
I want my home a certain way. And if people don't set it up that way, if they won't do the things I want, I get angry. And so it's like, people who are really kind of rule driven or want things in a specific way are just more likely to get angry. That's why, if we think about some of those, what we call the big five personality traits, one of them, like people who are a little bit more open, a little bit more flexible, are less likely to experience anger.
Gosh, those people are good. I would I almost feel like I would drink their blood. Is that crazy to say that? Because I wish I could have some more of that.
Yeah, no, I get it. I mean, that's the thing we know is that I think there's a real drive right now in sort of modern sort of pop psychology to be really accepting of all personality traits. And I think, I get why we should be accepting and be supportive, but I think we should also acknowledge that there are some ways of being that might end up being a little healthier than other ways, right? And openness is a great quality, right? And conscientiousness is a great quality. Those things, agreeableness, right? Those things are the kinds of things that help people be successful in a lot of ways and help them be likable and help them be happy.
Yeah. What about in relationships? You guys talk about a lot about that. Like, how do you deal with if you have a spouse that you feel like has some anger issues?
Yeah, that is really tough, especially because anger issues in families can look lots of different ways, right? Because there's the kind that is really scary and potentially like bordering on abuse, where the anger is driven at the particular person, right? It's the angry husband yelling at the angry wife or vice versa, right? And that's one way it can look. The other way is just a person who's just angry at the world doesn't necessarily take it out on the family. And that's actually the way my dad was. Like, he was an angry guy. He didn't, I can count on one hand the number of times he yelled at me. I wasn't the victim. Right. It was usually the waiter or the gas station attendant or some other driver, And so but that still has consequences, right? It still scared me as a kid, right? I mean, yeah, it would have scared me if he were yelling at me, but it also scared me when he's yelling at a stranger.
Right.
And, those moments can really sort of take a toll. I mean, I think, relationships are obviously tricky. I think a lot of times with relationships, it's got to be about communication. It's got to be about like a person being willing to do the work to try and change.
And what kind of help do people need that have severe anger problems? That's
the thing. I think it's, there are lots of things that people can do on their own without a professional. But ultimately, when the situation is bad enough, people need to talk to a therapist, right?
And how do they recognize when it's bad enough, do you think? Sorry, I keep just stacking questions on you.
No, that's all right. Those are great questions. I mean, I think usually it should be driven by the consequences. And to me, for me, if a partner came to me and said, hey, your anger is making me uncomfortable, your anger is scaring me, or it's making, like, to me, that's enough for me to want to say, okay, I got to do something about it. And if I can't on my own, well, then I'm going to go
get some help.
Get some help
somehow. Yeah.
If it's not in a relationship, if it's just, I find myself getting so angry, I'm like uncomfortable with it, or I don't like living with myself, or I'm drinking too much or whatever as a way of coping with it. Well, then those are all ways that those are all signs that I need to meet with someone if I can't fix it on my own.
Yeah. Yeah, because most of my anger usually just comes out about work stuff.
Right.
In personal and regular life, I'm usually pretty chill.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think when it comes to work and wanting to get things done, and wanting to be like efficient or, a lot of just unrealistic expectations.
Well, it sounds like it's motivated, like that there's an undercurrent of stress there, right? There's an undercurrent of like, hey, if I don't meet these expectations, if I don't accomplish these things, something bad's going to happen, right? And so I'm anxious because I have these goals, or I'm stressed because I have these goals, and I get mad when things get in the way of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think sometimes it's like, I think sometimes they come from an unrealistic space overall, because sometimes I think I just have unrealistic expectations of myself, right? Okay. So that I'll never be able to achieve them. Right. So I'll always be at a loss.
Right.
And so then it'll couple with some like core belief I've always had that I'm not enough, right? Yep. That sort of right? Yeah. To me, that's how I've been able to kind of see that what some of that makeup is like. And I'm not trying to look at it as like, oh, woe is me. I'm just looking at it.
Yeah, no, that's great. And I bet, I don't know this, but tell me, I bet sometimes those unreasonable expectations, the way that they matter, like boots on the ground in a particular week or day, is that you end up planning too much or trying to do too much, and it's like, you think to yourself, well, hey, for me to achieve X, I've got to get A, B, and C done this week. and it's impossible to get A, B, and C done in a single week.
Yeah.
And so you set yourself up for failure that way.
Oh yeah, a lot of time I won't give things a lot of breathing room.
Right.
You know, and that kind of is a bummer. I know sometimes you'll have a meeting with a friend and you're like, oh, I wish this meeting could be another 45 minutes, but you know, I only set up a certain amount of time because I'm too focused on the work aspect of it and not focused on like the human aspect of it.
Yep.
Sometimes that happens.
I do this all the time. Like one of my you know, I set goals for myself I do this every semester, right? I intentionally I say, these are the things I want to do this semester, this year, whatever. And then what that translates into is, well, that means that this month I've got to get X, Y, and Z done. Right? I got to do these things. And then that means I overplan for a particular week or day, and then I get frustrated with myself.
Yeah.
And then it connects back to that core belief that you're talking about of, well, I'm not good enough, right? Or
I ruin everything.
Yep.
I can't do this. What the F?
Yep.
You F, you loser.
Too often the solution to that is that we, instead of giving ourselves grace and being patient with ourselves and saying, hey, we set impossible goals for ourselves, is we just say, well, we just need to work harder.
Yeah.
Right? And then we feel crappy when we don't achieve it.
Man, that's just a lot of my life is I just have to work harder.
Yeah.
It was tough sometimes to have fun. I would tell my friends, I've said this before, but my friends are like, let's go do this thing. And I'm like, I can't go. I have to write a book. And that's where my mind always was kind of. It was like, dude, you can't go do that.
Yep.
You have all this shit to do.
Yep.
Don't you know you have all this shit to do? And I would never even look at exactly what the stuff was. It was just this and I didn't realize that till recently. I'm like, well, what shit do I have to do? Like I just assumed I had to do all these things. It was like this to-do list that was something was always being added onto.
Yeah.
And sometimes it was like the worst part of my brain was just going to add things on there no matter what. Like unrealistic things.
Yep.
Like look better.
Right.
Like, all right, by 8 p.m. or whatever, you're like, this is we can't do, you know, just like, or just, you know, you should be different. Like that's, but that would be like the kind of just like vague thing that would be on this.
Yeah. Well, and then, and ultimately, you know, that to-do list never ends, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you just keep adding to it because there's always more you can do. And so, I mean, that's the problem. I mean, I've been thinking about this a lot lately with work, is that part of what happens is that we fill up the cracks, like we fill up all the time with just more work. And this is particularly true of ambitious people, is that they say, well, I can just keep going. Like there's no end. There's no end to the amount of work that I can find to fill in. And if I want to be successful in the ways I want to be successful, then that's what I've got to do. And then that hurts, right? We suffer in the long run.
And it makes me think when you're talking about that, do we have like just such like how do we temper or how do we perspectivize our goals for success? How do we look at, can you help me say what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, like when is it enough, right? I mean,
like, and how can we even frame it for ourselves so that we're not just have this blind thing?
Yeah.
Like you need to be successful.
Right.
So that it's actually specific and realistic. And and then when is enough? Right.
Well, I mean, because in some way, I mean, you said before you like running. I don't know if you do races, like if you ever run, you know, whatever. But I mean, it'd be like running.
I don't do races.
Okay.
I would do them.
Okay.
But I don't do them yet.
But it's like if every race you did, the finish line just kept moving, right? Because we move it on ourselves, and we don't accept that like we've accomplished a thing. I mean, one of the things I do to sort of keep myself happy, even though I have this personality style too, right? Where I'm just constantly adding to-dos. One of the ways I keep myself happy is by really marking those achievements. Like when I've finished a thing, I treat it like an accomplishment. I don't just add to it. I stop and I say, we did a thing. Like, let's be happy about that. Let's be excited. Now we can take a day before we move on to the next thing. So the next thing's still going to be there for me. And I admit, I think there's something about me that I need that next thing. I don't know what I do. Like, if you want to get to the root of like what scares me most, it's retirement, right?
Really?
Oh yeah. I don't.
Retirement in the sense of having too much time then, or retirement in the sense of just not having like a specific goal maybe?
It's that. I don't know what my brain would do. I don't know how it would operate without a thing a thing to think about, or like without work to think about. I don't know what it would.
Yeah, we got to find out, don't we?
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, we got to just torch your calendar and get a little weird. I feel like you just got to, you know what I'm saying? Like, who knows?
Get a little weird.
I mean, or, you know, just to see what God wants. But it's like, yeah.
Torch my
I can't
calendar.
imagine, dude, if somebody said you can't do that, like, you can't work tomorrow.
Yeah.
I literally, something would crawl out of me and go like this.
Yep. No, I have. I've been. We got furlough days this year. Do you know what a furlough is? Like
for disease or something?
No, we had some. We had to take unpaid days, like forced to take unpaid days to save the university money, and we're literally not.
We're
allowed.
gonna do that.
Yeah.
Just letting everybody know right now, Dr. Ryan Martin is brought in.
Yeah. Yeah. We're literally not allowed to work. Right. And so, and I mean, I shouldn't say this because I'll get in trouble, but I've been working on those days. I just don't use my computer because I'm not allowed to, because I'm just like on my phone, like doing.
But you're saying, look,
doing stuff. I'm on a different computer, just still working. So, yeah.
I work sometimes to keep me away from having to deal with my own personal life, I think sometimes.
Okay.
Do people do that?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's a real distraction for, I mean, that's part of what happens is, yeah.
Yeah, because I think it feels manageable. You know, it just feels like I can control what's going to happen, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. I get that.
But that's okay. That doesn't mean necessarily a bad thing.
No, I don't think so either. I mean, I think, like, there are lots of things in people's lives that can be fulfilling. And yeah, personal relationships are absolutely one of those things. And they're good for us in a gajillion different ways. But people can be fulfilled by their work. Especially, I mean, especially when they identify ways that their work is really meaningful. And not just to them, but to the world around them. And if they can see that, and then, yeah, it's really fulfilling to do that work. I think what would make me sad is if I like hit a point where I thought, hey, I've been doing all of this and none of it really mattered, right?
To you.
Yeah, or to people in the world, right? Mm-hmm. Like it all sort of went away. I don't think that's true of the job I do. I don't think it's true of the job you do. I think it matters to people, and it matters to me. But it would be, for someone whose job was to do whatever.
Yeah.
I
could see that happening. I could see, especially like as we get more technologically advanced and we take away jobs, that people start to lose their purpose. You have to have some purpose.
Right.
Or you won't care about yourself or anything.
Right.
Everything has to have a purpose.
Yep. And then for people, it's about, well, where do they find that? Right. Because maybe it's not work, and it's okay if it's not work, right? It could be your hobbies. It could be your family. It could be seeing the world. It could be a billion things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do think though that sometimes with like I wish there was just something that was like, hey, no more technology.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah.
Like we're doing fine. We don't need like a robot sheriff and 6 Uber drivers hiding from him all, like and everything, it's like, that's what it just, I don't know. I think about that sometimes, like why we wouldn't stop technology, because it doesn't feel like it serves us sometimes at a certain point.
Right. Yeah. Well, especially the way in which we have reacted to it. I mean, in so many ways, technology, I think almost by definition is supposed to make our lives better and supposed to make our lives easier, right?
Yeah.
And I don't necessarily see that happening, right? It makes specific tasks easier, but then we fill up that space with other work, right? Have you ever tried to do some task that's really easy now, but have you ever thought about like what it used to be like when we were young?
Yeah, dude. Like I even writing a sentence the other day, it was like, where are we?
Yeah.
I was like, what happened, dude? Are we in like or is this a war treaty or something? I was like, what are we even? And then I was watching, it was a pencil, right? And I was watching the lead come out of it. I was like, this is crazy. This just happened. I cannot even believe it.
Yeah. It's, I mean, when I think about how how I think honestly it was like it was getting my tickets for this flight, and I was like thinking about how there was a time when like you ordered paper tickets and they came in the mail and you had to like carry them with you,
and you were all excited. Yeah.
Versus having fun.
Yeah, or you got a ticket to a concert. Like there were certainly things that added this. Like there was more of a when there was more paper in the world. Things that I don't know. Things felt a little bit more connected. Even when there was like a local newspaper and stuff, and you got your name in it for something, or you got to see what was happening in your community. It was a big deal. Like they don't have a lot of those anymore.
Yeah,
and so a lot of just like the value of being a community that's not just like a national community feels like it's dilapidating some.
I think that's true. I mean, I think that's there's definitely a degree to which people have sort of like locked themselves into their homes in ways that they're like, and they think they're interacting with people because they are online, but they're not necessarily coming out and talking to their neighbors regularly.
No, they're not even talking to their spouses or kids. They're all just in their room on their devices, just ordering DoorDash or whatever, like exotic pistachios or whatever. Like people are ordering just a lot of weird stuff, and then it just at Christmas they all meet up in the living room, you know, and everybody's like, "Wow, Mom grew a mustache," you know, and it's just, it's just I don't know, it's a different time.
Exotic pistachios,
dude, they're good. Some of them are good.
Are they?
I'm trying to think. Are any other things you found that you've gotten that you get angry at yourself for, Dr. Martin?
I think some things that like the things that tend to jump out at me, a lot of them are things we've talked about. Like I get angry at myself when I don't achieve whatever I set my mind to, whatever I've decided. And that's true not just with work, but it's true with like personal or fitness goals or things like that. You know, when like I said, I map out pretty specific goals, and then when I don't achieve those things, I tend to get disappointed with myself. I think I've become much more relaxed over time, not necessarily at work, but much more relaxed about just my interactions with other people that I meet I've sort of embraced that philosophy of, hey, everybody's dealing with something, and just, you know, I was going through security yesterday at the airport, and for whatever reason, I think you'll appreciate this. For whatever reason, I got flagged by their like system.
Yeah, get him. Guy's angry.
You know the system where you go in and you have to stand there with your arms up, then it like smells you or something. I don't know. I don't know what it does.
Really, yeah.
So when
somebody said it is. They take the smell off you and just email it to Satan or whatever.
Well,
that scares me.
Well, I walked out and it lit up both my crotch and my ass, on their like little monitor. And the guy was like, "Sorry, man, we gotta pat you down." And he took me aside, and I think I got a trainee, and he was a little rough with me, man.
Was he?
Yeah, and it was like it was a rough pat down. And it was
he using more palms, you think? Well, palms are denser.
No, he told me, he walked me through this. Here's what I think happened. I think because he was a trainee, he felt the need to like do a real good job. And so he told me,
gonna know.
Yeah, he's like, because my supervisor's watching, I gotta. Yeah. So this is why I'm telling the story, is because like I'm gonna grant this guy some grace and just say he's doing his best. He's got a new job. He's trying. Yeah. He's trying really hard, maybe too hard.
Yeah.
But he did the thing where he put his hands like this, like, and he patted me, and he walked me through in advance. He told me what was going to happen. He also had to go up and down my legs.
Oh yeah, that's a big one, kind of.
Yeah,
it's like if you just ask me if something's on my legs, I'll tell you honestly.
Yeah,
that's who I am.
Yeah, he at one point he said, would you like me to take you someplace private? And I was like, no, no, I really don't.
Oh
I want to be out
and
here.
Y'all met online?
Yeah. Craigslist. It was great.
God.
Yeah, we met out in the woods. He wanted to.
Oh, dude, there used to be a strange encounters on Craigslist, casual encounters.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you could go on there and just meet strangers in the middle of nowhere if you wanted to.
No thanks.
I did it.
Did you?
Yeah. I wish I wouldn't have probably, but there was definitely some different times you just didn't know. You know, just gosh.
I've only used Craigslist to sell stuff, and we didn't meet in the woods. We just met at my house.
TBD, brother. You know, there's more to know. I'm sure. Right. These are your books right here. Why We Get Mad.
Those are for you.
Oh, thank you.
You can give them away, but you got to find someone named Theo to give them to. Because I signed them.
Oh, thank you.
Now
Dr.
they're
Martin.
worthless. Yeah,
that's super cool. So. How to deal with angry people. Yeah, what do you tell people in this?
Yeah, so that book, it's broken into 2 sections. It's got one that really explains where anger comes from, why people get angry, some of those angry personality types we were talking about, and then it goes through like 10 specific suggestions for like how you can deal with angry people when you interact with them. Some of it's like, how do you deal with people that you run into online? Some of it's, how do you stay calm? Part of it's, do you consider whether or not you really screwed up? Like maybe the problem is that you blew it and you need to find ways to make amends. So it's things like that. Is apologizing ever a bad idea, do you think? I mean, what I usually say about apologizing is that I don't think people should do it if they don't mean it. I mean, I think you should mean your apology.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of times so I think that one of the things we've done is especially with kids, a lot of times we force them to apologize. We say you got to go say you're sorry. And I think that actually sends a message of, well, apologizing is what you do to get out of trouble. And that isn't necessarily why we should apologize, right? We should apologize if we're really sorry. I actually don't want people to apologize to me if they're not actually sorry, right? Yeah. Then it's just a meaningless gesture. And it's
weird too.
Yeah.
They're still calling you names, but they're apologizing.
Right. And so,
like, I'm sorry I called you a name, you little.
Yes.
And then you're like, Jesus, God.
Because if it doesn't lead to changed behavior, then what's the point?
Yeah.
So I think, but the flip side of that is when a person is sorry, they should apologize and they should do it well. Like they should do it effectively. They should, tell people what they're sorry for, and they should make amends in a way that suggests that it won't happen again. And I think that's where a lot of people fall short, is that it's always I'm sorry if, or I'm sorry but, instead of just I'm sorry.
Yeah. What can I do to make it up to you? That sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Before you go, I wanted to ask you, why is road rage such a thing? Why does that?
Yeah. Driving is just the absolute perfect scenario for leading to anger. Everything about it. I mean, truly, if you were an evil genius and you wanted to create a situation that was going to make people mad, you would create one that looked like driving.
Right. I got to get from here to here.
Yep. I got goals, and there's people in the way of those goals. Those people who are blocking them are anonymous to me. So I can think or say whatever I want, right? I can call them a total fucking idiot.
Yeah.
And I don't know. They might be a genius, and I'll have no idea. There's all these unwritten rules of the road. I mean, there's written rules, but then there's also like, what speed should you be going, right? I mean,
right. So there's vagueness in there too, which can.
Yeah. So it's a thing I often ask my students is what speed should you go on the interstate? And because nobody says, the speed limit, it's always 5 over, 10 over, 15 over, right?
Yeah.
And so if you and I are on the road and we have different, what's your answer to that?
My answer, probably 11 miles over.
Okay. So I'm pretty close to that. I'm like 9.
Okay.
Right. I tend to set the cruise at 9 over. So if you and I encounter each other on the road and you're behind me, well, you get mad because I'm not obeying your, arbitrary rule. Right. And I get mad because you're a hazard, right? You're riding my bumper or whatever because, hey, I'm already going fast enough. Right?
Yeah.
So these arbitrary rules set people off. All of that ends up, and then on top of that, it's kind of a nerve-wracking situation. We don't actually think of it. We've been driving long enough that we forget how anxiety-provoking it actually is. But it's dangerous, right? And so like real harm can happen, and so all of that tends to exacerbate that likelihood of getting angry when people slow us down or get in the way. And then add to it that the consequences are so significant of people running people off the road when they get mad. People.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, just things like that. Like that. Those consequences, we see those, right? I mean, they're very visible. In fact, we have seen more road rage related shootings in the last 2 years than ever before. That people are getting aggressive.
Oh yeah, if I'm aggressive, dude, and I have a gun.
Yep.
It's anybody's ball game, dude.
There we go.
Very unfortunate, very senseless. Visitors witnessed deadly Myrtle Beach road rage shooting.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. They call it Murder Beach now, I think.
Jeez.
Every place is starting to be called like murder something. But yeah, people are just shooting. They just, I had a friend in New Orleans that died in a road rage. It's crazy. It's really crazy. But it's that intense moment. But as a driver, if you can play it out in your head, like you were saying earlier, how do I want this to play out?
Yep.
The truth is, you probably want that guy to get a flat tire sometime the next day or whatever. That's fine. But right now, you want to get to where you're going.
And honestly, most of the time in those situations, I want to get as far from that person as possible.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to interact with them.
Yeah, you can't be following them. What is this? Somebody road raging?
Oh,
this guy punched open a back window. That's hard to do.
that is hard to do. Uh-oh.
Oh, this seems like a she just popped the trunk, boy. Dang, bro, she's carrying. She got a hatchet.
What?
Ooh, and he hit her.
Oh, really? So like Jerry Olshansky?
Franco. I think you probably have a lot of Franco jerseys out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, Franco Harris himself. Tried to pick me up, but I was too big.
Dang, dang, dang. Dude, I love Pittsburgh.
You do?
Oh, bro. My friend used to work at Jack's Bar. My friend
Oh, yeah. I know Jack's. Yeah.
was he was a mascot. He got busted hooking up with a underage woman in like an abandoned swimming pool or something. But he, yeah, dude, I got pink eye over there one time. And
you loved it.
I got a oral sex one time behind the Giant Eagle over there somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
I got invited into a familial sexual kind of threesome with some people from Wheeling, West Virginia that were visiting.
Wheeling are freaks.
Oh,
They're
yeah.
freaks in Wheeling.
They kept saying you want that Wheeling feeling. That's what they said.
Mm-hmm.
And I was in like a Mazda. I was like, I don't think we can do that in here.
Wait, they were in your car?
Yeah. I was giving them a ride home after a show. The girl was cute and her aunt was with her. And they, when I stopped to drop them off, they just asked point blank if I wanted to have that Wheeling feeling. And I was like, I don't know. I didn't know what it was. I didn't know if it was crime or if it was, like a rash or, I didn't know what the hell it was, or tickling somebody real hard. I didn't know what their modus operandi was or whatever. And so I just didn't do it,
How many sexual opportunities do you think you've turned down because you just didn't understand the euphemism?
Oh, one time in Baltimore, I got offered a threesome, pretty sure. It was threesome or it was like a pyramid scheme, which is, I don't know if those are similar or not, but it was...
Extremely similar.
Yeah.
I mean, practically the same thing.
Yeah. So, yeah, it was outside and it was kind of dark. It was at Magooby's. Remember that place?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was over there and yeah, I guess I got offered that. Oh, one time I got into a sexual endeavor with two women, and this was in Columbia, Missouri, and they one of them was looked like one of those bodybuilders from like remember when they would wear the singlet and they would have the thing and they would hold it up and it would say like 100 pounds written on it, or 140, like at the circus or whatever. One of them was like kind of I felt attracted to, and the other one had this kind of like Polish kind of like bodybuilder vibe.
Sure.
And I got coerced into that, and that was intense, man.
See, I don't trust three-ways. I've never had one. I've been propositioned and been like, I don't believe you.
Yeah.
Like there's a catch.
Yeah.
There's something's going to happen here.
Yeah.
Like a random hookup on the road, you're like, I'm going to hear from you again. There's no free lunch.
Right. There's no free lunch.
You're getting a follow-up email for sure. And the next time you're in town, they're going to be in the front row being like, right? And so a three-way is just like two of those coming at you.
Yeah. Did it when you first started out? What made you stay in comedy, you think? Were there times where you were ever going to give up? Or you've had success really since you kind of kicked it off, it seems like.
It took a couple years. I found that in the beginning, I'm sure you understand this, that when the first couple years, it's embarrassing to tell someone you're a comedian.
Oh, it's the worst. It's almost like, yeah, you could be like, a lot of people where I'm from, they felt like you were gay. You didn't want to bring a wife home. You didn't want to admit something. What are you doing? You know, not that there's anything wrong with being gay, but they were just, you know, those were some of the things like, oh, just tell us what's going on.
Yeah.
You know, if you have cancer or whatever, just tell us.
Yeah, people don't understand. Your parents don't understand. Your family's like, what? You're doing what? Like, why don't you try to be more like this? Why don't you do Last Comic Standing? I would hear all the time. And it's like, that's a bad show. I don't want to do that. And then I thought the only thing more embarrassing than saying I'm a comedian for the first 2 years would be saying I used to do comedy. Like saying that, oh yeah, like you ever after a show, someone's like, you know, I tried, I thought about doing that. You're just like, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
That like, I thought that was so embarrassing that I'm like, I'm just going to will myself to some level of success.
Yeah.
And I thought at the time, I thought that meant I would get a writing job and I would quit stand up and I would just be a joke writer for the rest of my life. And by the time I finally got that joke writing job, I was like, I was doing well enough at stand up that I was like, I just want to do this. I don't want to write for someone else. I'm the only one who's going to tell my jokes. Why don't I just keep doing this? And it worked out.
Did you not want anybody else telling your jokes to? Oh, that you just said it.
Nobody would. Like if I wrote for Sarah Silverman, Jimmy Kimmel, and they were like, if I loved the joke, they loved it too. And they would tell it, and I was so proud to have them tell my joke. No problem with that. But then I would write for Jimmy Fallon, and he would say, this is really funny, but people are going to hate me. And I'd be like, you're right. But I don't care. That's fine. You can hate me and still laugh. You can't hate Jimmy and still laugh. So it just didn't work out.
Right.
But I was like, oh, I need to just write my own stuff and do it myself. Like I've got my own way of telling the jokes.
Yeah.
You know, that is fun.
Oh yeah, it's a horrible dance you take us on. I mean, it's marvelous.
Yes, I knew what you meant.
Okay, good. Yeah, it's exceptionally. It's like, yeah, I feel like you. I always feel like it's that same feeling I get watching you and watching some of your material when I'm in a haunted house and I know I'm gonna be scared. Right, I'm walking through something. I know there's something right around the corner that's you know, and I just keep going down the road, and then next thing you know, again, you got me again.
Thank you.
You know?
Yeah, I mean, I consider myself, when I describe it as a horror film, like, you know, you're in good hands.
Yeah.
You know, you're not watching a snuff film. This is like a real movie with real actors, and at the end, you'll be satisfied, and there's going to be some scares. Like, just enjoy it. It's all fun. I don't have a message. Just, you know, nihilism.
Did you ever feel like you were haunted? Like a lot of people, you know, think that people are haunted and stuff like that. Did you ever have any, like at a certain point, you have to look at yourself and be like, oh, well, I am. There's something unique, you know. There's something very Simon Birch about me, or something, you know.
Yeah, no, people ask me that all the time, like because I have a dark sensibility that like something happened to you, and it's like, no, I've had a very charmed life. Like I've had a great life. My parents are still together. You know, there's no abuse. I was always drawn to violence and awful things in life. It just people just didn't talk about them, and I was like, why not? They're so important. Like, why is this so forbidden? Why does no one want to talk about death?
Yeah.
You know, and as a kid, I was shamed for that a lot, of like always being like, well, what about this? And they'd be like, stop talking about that. Like, we don't want to talk about the Challenger anymore, Anthony. Like, it blew up. Like, you're in first grade, just move on to other things. And I didn't understand what was unhealthy about it. I thought, if the greatest minds in history have been sitting there wondering what happens when we die, why is it weird for a kid to think about it?
Yeah.
So that them pushing back on me made me mad. And that anger carried me through my first 10 years of comedy.
Wow.
And then you get success and you let go of the anger. You're like, okay, what do I have left? And it's interest. You know, it's these topics interest me, and I want to find a way to make people laugh at them.
Wow, that's interesting, man. Do you think like that we do it because, like, do you think a lot of people do it? There's a chip on their shoulder.
Yes.
Like they want to prove that they. Yeah, I'm trying to think of what did I want to prove?
Prove you're not a fucking loser. I feel like when you're in school, it's like you're ruining. Not only are you messing up your own education, but everyone around you. Everyone sitting within 4 desks is getting a worse grade because they're near you.
Oh yeah,
and everyone's furious, and you're like, I've got to prove. Like my high school put me in the Hall of Fame, the Alumni Hall of Fame, a few years ago, and I was so proud. Wow. Because I like, gave a speech, and I was like, this is you guys saying you were right.
Yeah.
You know, like for 12 years of high school, they were just like, fucking stop this. You're throwing your life away. And I was like, watch me. Like, I'm trust me, I've got a plan. And it all worked out. And now they're like, great, we're proud that you're from the school. And that took a long time.
How many though? First of all, that's unbelievable. Did you go back to the school and they had, like gave you a accommodation of sort?
Yeah, they had it was like this like little trophy thing, like a big glass like triangle. There were like 10 other people that all kind of gave little speeches, but I was like, I'm the one who had a TV show with my name in the title. Like this is my thing. This other guy just still plays tennis. Like,
Right.
That's why he's in it.
Right. He's a Sherwin-Williams manager. It counts, but
Yeah.
wow, dude, that's unbelievable. Did it almost? I wonder if that would make me feel like so much more rewarded than anything, because that was like the battlegrounds of being fun. Like that was where I feel like it was the most fun to be funny.
Yes. And
Did you have that experience or no?
Oh yeah. I mean, I couldn't not tell a joke. If I thought of it, I'm like, this is too good. It's going to go to waste. But my thing was trying to make the teacher laugh.
Oh,
Because if you made a joke in class, teacher would yell at you immediately. But if you made her laugh or him laugh, it was always a woman, now I think about it, then they couldn't get mad at you. And that felt so good. Because it was like you knew you did something wrong, but you did it in the best way possible. So now you're the star.
oh, that's
So it
fascinating.
was like, how do you not get in trouble? Right.
I
these
understand you're
comics
going to
now-
put me in trouble, but you and I know.
Yes. And all these comics now, it's like almost the point is to get in trouble. It's like, why are you giving me shit? I'm a comic. I'm allowed to say whatever I want. That's wrong as far as I'm concerned. Art.
Oh, wait, say it again so I don't miss it.
People think like, oh, as a comic, your job is to get in trouble. And so, but they don't want to get yelled at. It's like, it's okay to make people mad, but they don't want any pushback. And I think that's wrong. As a comedian, you want to make people laugh. This is a quote attributed to Andy Warhol that I love. It's just, art is getting away with it. If you put out a special and everyone's pissed, like you didn't get away with it. You need to make everyone laugh that they're like, yeah, he talked about some fucked up stuff, but we're all happy. That's art. Otherwise, you're just a troll.
That's fascinating, man, because it adds another level to a lot of things. You're like, the superfluous level isn't enough. You like, I want to go to this other level. Even thinking of, I'm going to get the teacher to laugh. I never have thought about that.
Yeah, it just happened one day. Teacher laughed, and I was like, oh, I'm not in trouble right now. I would have been. What's the difference? Oh, teacher laughed. Wow. And it was like it was a stern teacher. It was like a strict teacher who like never laughed. And it was like, oh, okay, if I can get her, I can do this. Yeah.
Dude, I used to think that if I stared at my teacher enough that they would want to have sex,
Really? I had one, we had a French teacher.
That was
in
crushing.
like
That was
sixth
crazy.
grade who
Oh,
who was
French.
beautiful.
First of all, even being French makes you think they're going to want to have bisexual.
Totally, yeah. And there was a gym teacher.
Oh,
who was
what?
like a former gymnast who
A
was a
French
babe.
gym?
No, it was the French teacher. She was American but spoke French. And then there was a gym teacher who was also a babe.
I think you guys were doing like Cirque du Soleil or something. I think you guys were doing like,
We did learn the basics of Cirque du Soleil.
Okay.
Some of the early stuff. Yeah.
And she was hot?
As I remember, like if she walked in here right now, I wouldn't know who the hell she was. But at the time, because a lot of our teachers were busted, Dogsville.
Okay, not attractive.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, some real hounds,
One
yeah.
of them was even like remotely young was like, oh my God, this she's a mermaid.
Yeah, we had one that either had huge breasts or filled her shirt with something that looked like breasts.
Mm-hmm.
And she wore like a doily like around her neck kind of, or whatever that little collar thing was. And we were all like, literally, dude, when she came in the room, you could feel like, because it was like right around that when people was going through puberty or whatever, and you could feel people didn't even know how to exist. Like all the blood would rush to like your brain, like parts of your, like you didn't even know how to stand. It was just, God, when there was because teachers are also the first woman that you're around a lot of times where you're in the same space. It's not your mother, but you're around each other a lot. They're in a position of power. So if they look a little attractive, I think it's like, it can be very sexual for a lot of young men.
I mean, it's the crazy fantasy, like it's hot for teacher, But I think when you hit puberty as a boy, they start to send you to health class. It's like they separate the boys and the girls, and they start talking to you. I can't believe they don't just like put you in jail for 3 years, because everyone from the age of like 11 to like 16 is up to no good. It's pure evil. And we were before the internet, man.
Yeah.
Like you had to know someone who had an older brother who had a Playboy collection.
Yeah.
And they would like tear out a picture and bring it to you. And I remember that someone gave me one. It was just a woman from behind. She was just standing up, had like a perfect ass, but it was just her ass, like her hair. And this is the only picture that I had. This was it. And it was like, am I an ass guy now? Like, I don't know. This is just what you have.
Yeah.
And now these kids are just like every little thing, every fetish, every fantasy you could ever imagine is at their fingertips. And it's not good.
Yeah.
I can't imagine in 10 years, shit's going to go down. Like everyone's going to have a sex dungeon. It's going to be crazy, wild shit. And no one's going to be able to keep up.
Oh. I think, I remember somebody even give you a picture of a regular chick and they'd write like hot pussy on it or something. And you'd think, like, oh, this is, and she wasn't even naked. It's just like that somebody had written that. I remember when someone told me about the P word and I just couldn't even, I felt so ashamed that I didn't know it. I felt like I didn't know how to communicate anymore. Like the world was passing me by because like some guys like, you don't know what he would say, I don't like saying it that much, but he would say like, you don't know what pussy means, And I'd be like, yeah, I do.
Do you not like saying the word because of like the combination of letters, or you don't like calling someone that? Like, would you have a problem calling a guy a pussy, or you just don't want to describe the anatomy as?
I think if a guy only had like one wing or something and he's hungry and then I might say something like that. But I don't think I like saying it because I don't want people to hear it if they're listening somewhere and they don't feel comfortable hearing it. I think it's probably my thought about it.
That's your fan base? People who can't hear the word pussy?
I think it's people that probably I don't want them to hear it that much. I don't care if they hear it once in a while, but I think that I try not to put that out there too much.
With my audience, I feel like I'd want them to hear it from me. It's like I'm a trusted source. I don't want them hearing it out on the street from random randos. I'm the authority figure. Pussy.
Yeah. That's a good. See, at least you're so confident about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I didn't. Oh, I remember somebody was like, they said, you don't know what a dildo is, some kid in 5th grade, and I didn't, right? And I could never handle not knowing what, like, I didn't want to be somebody that didn't know something, right? It was like a real control thing, I think. Like controlling my environment. And when I didn't know, and then I was on the school bus and I didn't know, and I just called the bus driver it, I was like, I'm going to take my chances and see what this is.
How'd that go?
And it did not go good. And I had to go to the principal. That's when they still would spank you. And this fella, Lawton McKee was his name. And he gave me a couple good lashings in his office. This episode is sponsored by Blue Chew. If your wiener's D&O, baby, down and out, then you can give it that second chance, that revival, baby. That's Blue Chew. They'll do it. Bring the heat this winter with that BC, baby, that Blue Chew. Blue Chew is a unique online service that delivers the same active ingredients as Viagra and Cialis, but in chewable tablets and at a fraction of the cost, baby. Cheap, baby. Get that wiener dancing for cheap, bubba. You know what I'm talking about? Blue Chew. We got a special deal for our listeners. Try Blue Chew free when you use our promo code Theo at checkout. Just pay $5 shipping, and I'll chomp into them. I'll have half of one if I'm going anywhere, to the carnival, wherever. That's bluechew.com, promo code Theo. To receive your first month free, visit BLUECHEW.com for more details and important safety information. We thank Blue Chew for sponsoring the podcast. Wiener! If you've been in a car accident or you've been hit by something, if you've had something fall on you or your body, you've had to miss work, well, if any of those things are part of your life, Morgan & Morgan can help. Morgan & Morgan is America's largest injury law firm. If you've been injured, if you need a neck brace, a leg brace or something, they can do it. Morgan & Morgan has over 100 offices nationwide, more than 800 lawyers. With over $15 billion recovered for clients, Morgan & Morgan has a proven track record of fighting to get you full and fair compensation. Submitting an injury claim with Morgan & Morgan is so easy, it's more like using an app than hiring a lawyer. That's it. If you're ever injured, you can check out Morgan & Morgan. Their fee is free unless they win. For more information, go to forthepeople.com/thispastweekend or dial pound LAW, that's pound 529 from your cell phone. That's FOR, thepeople.com/LAW. compilation.com/thispastweekend or dial pound 529 from your cell. This is a paid advertisement.
Remember one year, I think I was in second grade. The principal of my elementary school was named Dr. Bro Guy.
Bro guy?
Bro Guy.
Is that French or what is it?
I don't know. This certainly was not French, but I don't know what it was.
Bro guy.
But I'm in second grade. I'm 7 or 8 years old, and I have like a Sharpie or a pen, and I write on the back of the bus seat, Dr. Butt Guy. Yeah. And which to me I thought was really funny. And some kid behind me told the bus driver. It was like, he's writing on the seat. And the guy comes back and sees it and then takes me off the bus and in the principal's office. And they're like, you wrote on the back of the bus? And it's Dr. Bro Guy being like, what did you write? And I'm like, I just doodles. I just kind of just a little drawing. And the bus driver's like, come on the bus and see. And me and Dr. Bro Guy had to go and look at Dr. Butt Guy. That was a tough one.
I liked going to the office in a little bit because it was almost like your first business meeting, I think, when you were a kid.
It terrified me. Like knowing what I know now, I would have been like, fine, like it's a break from class. But then I was like, I'm in so much trouble. In my heart, I must have thought I was getting expelled every time. And then my parents were going to kill me. And my parents were always mad at me about school. Like I'm not applying myself enough. I'm getting in trouble.
Were they really smart, your parents?
They were both very smart and knew I was smart. Like I have other siblings. I'm the oldest of 5, and they didn't get the same pressure that I got. It was like,
you're the last of 5?
I was the oldest of 5.
Oldest of 5.
So I was the first one through, and they were just like, all our teachers are telling us you're smarter than this. You just don't try. And I drove them crazy. Everyone else, like I got better grades than my siblings, but they were like, yeah, but they're doing their best. Like you're not. So that drove them nuts. So every time I went to the principal for whatever, I would have been happy if they hit me in school. But they didn't. They would just tell your parents, and that was way worse. Not that my parents didn't hit me either, but I didn't like the disappointment. I would have taken a beating.
Yeah, I'm trying to think if my mom would beat us pretty good.
How many siblings do you have?
I got 3 siblings, and my brother's older, and I got 2 younger sisters. But we were not close. There was not any affection in our home. Like we didn't know. Nobody had any feelings. It was very much felt like a business kind of, where you were like an employee for like very low level allowance that you never even got. Mm-hmm. There was always some reason you didn't get it. And that's what it felt like. It felt like a little bit of a pyramid scheme is what it kind of our family felt like.
Theo, do you know what a pyramid scheme is?
Yeah. It's like when you you say to somebody, do you want to get like a couple shares of like a what do you think it is?
I think some of the top is like, you pay me and then but for paying me, you get to come in, and then people below you are going to pay you, and the money's going to flow up. Oh yeah. So you get involved, and then you hope more people get involved.
Yeah, it wasn't like that. It was not that. Yeah, it was more like kind of trickle down, maybe some type of Reaganomics or something. Mm-hmm. It was something that wasn't working.
Families weren't fair. Like I feel like my family, we never talked about money ever. It was just assumed that we had it, and you would just be told yes or no if you wanted something.
Okay.
And now they say that families, you should tell your kids, like, here's how much dad makes. Here's how much mom makes. Here's what the budget is. Here's what the house costs. That way you know how much, so you're not always asking for things. That I think is very smart. Whereas my family was like, no, you can't have that. But I didn't know why. And then I grew up and was like, we had less money than all the kids around us. You know, the people around us had more money for different reasons. They either had different jobs or fewer kids. But I just assumed we had everything, and my parents just didn't want to give it to us. You know?
God, that's an insane thought.
Yeah,
it's so macabre. Really.
Yeah, it's like, they're just being mean. I can't get a Nintendo, and it was like, no, we're trying to pay our mortgage. Like, yeah. Why else? As a kid, you don't understand. Like, I got a dog, and my dog only wants to like play, eat, like walk, and he doesn't understand why we're not doing those things. It's like, playing is so much fun. Let's go play. And I'm like, and once you kind of understand that, that like simplicity, you're like, okay. And like kids are like that. Where, like they just want to consume. Yeah. They just want to eat pizza for every meal and like hot dogs and go to baseball games. They don't understand why, as an adult, you don't want to do that.
Yeah. Do you think you were a good brother when you were growing up or not?
No, I was the oldest of 5, and it was 5 kids in 7 years. And I just wanted to do my own thing. I wasn't. I was protective of my sisters, but only as much as I had to be.
Right. So did you buy into the family system, or were you very much like I'm doing my
own thing?
Okay.
I was like, I don't want to. I don't want to have to do. I don't want to mow the lawn. I don't want to do any of this stuff.
Right.
Like,
I'm here, but
we're
I'm
all
not.
free agents. Yeah, I'm doing my own thing. And then when I left for college, then we became closer. It was like the little distance coming back. We all kind of were closer in age now. I mean, they were the same level in age. My brother, who was, born when I was 7 years old, is now like my favorite person in the world.
Oh,
really?
really?
So yeah, we're really close.
What's kind of interesting about that? Like, do you like being like now? Do you like see more value in being a brother? Or what's kind of interesting? Because I have a brother, and I love. We weren't close when we were kids, but now I love having a brother. It's like the best thing.
Yeah. It's hard when you're 7 years apart. Like I wanted a brother so badly from like the moment I like have consciousness, and I got 3 sisters. Every 2 years I get another sister, and I just like wanted one. And I finally got that brother, and it was like, he can't do anything. Like he's useless until for a long time. And then by the time I went to college when I was 18, he was 11. So like now we're very, very close. But I think it's just being closer in age. I think if he was like 2 years younger than me, we'd be much, much closer.
Is he a Steelers fan?
Yes.
Wow.
In Pittsburgh, you have to be, yeah.
Yeah.
It's tough this year, but...
it's been rocky, man. I wanted to buy in Pickett, right?
Yeah.
And I stay, I think part of you always cheers for the Steelers. I mean, because I'm a Saints fan, and they're black and gold. Steelers are black and gold. Mm-hmm. And I love Steelers, I'd always go up there. You'd hear all these crazy rumors about Cordell Stewart and Shinley Park. You'd hear all of this, people's just saying, thank, you'd hear all of it, And so, I always want them to do well. And then I saw him with that mustache, and I'm like, this means he's going to do well. Because you don't grow a mustache, I think, unless you're planning on doing something where I'm from.
Yeah.
And,
you got a plan.
And then he just hasn't been able to really put it together yet.
I think he hasn't been that bad. I think it's everybody. I don't think everyone's like it's the coaching. I'm like, no, it's not just the players. It's everyone just kind of just being a little bit off. And I think we'll pull it together. I think we'll be a game over 500, maybe a game under, maybe break Tomlin's streak. But I'm the kind of fan who I just want to support. I like the coaches. I like the players. Like if they get traded, like I still like them. I'm just happy that the team is there. I don't get mad.
Yeah.
I don't get mad about the Steelers anymore. I used to. And then I kind of just realized like this is stupid. Why am I ruining like relationships with people? Like there was a game once, I think I just moved to LA, and the Steelers played the Patriots. It was the year that Brady won his first Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. When they had like beaten the Raiders, it was a miracle, and the Steelers were really heavily favored. And then we just got crushed. And all my friends were at my place, and they were all Patriots fans except for me. Oh. And I got hammered and like yelled at everybody. Like it was such an embarrassing game, and I snapped that I was so embarrassed that I couldn't talk to my friends for like a week. And then I was like, I'm never doing this again. I'm going to be on emotional lockdown for sporting events from now on. It's stupid.
Yeah,
stupid thing to get mad
you
about.
put a lot into it.
Yeah.
And you see people put their whole lives into it. And they cart their wife out there, and they'll paint their wife the colors of the team, and they'll do all of that.
You know what got me? Remember when the Red Sox won their first World Series in like forever? Mm-hmm. It was like early to mid 2000s or something. Mm-hmm. And I remember being pumped for them. I had a bunch of friends who were Red Sox fans, and I was rooting for them to win that year. And then after they won, I was happy. And then the next season, the fans were like the same assholes. It was like they were like the guy from Memento who doesn't know he killed the dude, and he's just like, I got to kill this guy. And it's like, you killed him. You already won, and they didn't bring them that much joy. That I don't want to be that kind of fan.
Yeah.
I want to just always be happy for my team.
Yeah, I think that's what I've struggled to have that. I realize it's like, am I a fair weather fan? I was a diehard Saints fan growing up. Diehard. I remember when I didn't have any money, I made like Saints merchandise, and I go out there and sell bootleg merchandise, and I loved them,
Yeah, I love the Saints.
And it just, but at a certain point, it just, I don't know, also got a little bit older. I think you start to realize, like, I'm busy. Maybe my life, I got busier too. I didn't have as much time to do fantasy. I don't know.
I never done fantasy. I've never wanted to.
Really?
I never want to root for anyone who's not a Steeler. I never want to be like, oh, Calvin Ridley just, ran all over us, but he's on my fantasy team, so I'm happy about that. Like, I never wanted to do that.
Wow, you're really pure then. You're kind of a purist.
And I also just don't want to like type in all that shit. I don't want to sit there for the draft. Like one of my best friends is like one of the like a big fantasy football guy, like knows everything. If he ran your team, you would win. And I would never give a shit. Not my thing. I don't gamble. Do you gamble? Do you put money on sports?
I do gamble sometimes. I realized recently that I need to kind of chill out, Not a lot. I'll bet like a couple $100 here and there on something. I've never bet $1,000 on something. But I do realize it's like I'm getting a little like when I get like testy or bored, I want to do something,
You need to misbehave. I'm like that, where I'm like,
yes.
Like I'm like, I haven't had to drink in like a year and a half. I don't consider myself I don't consider myself sober, but I haven't been drinking, but I need something. I need like a nicotine pouch or like some sort of like thing that's like, this is my misbehaving.
Yeah, watch me misbehave. Where does that come from? That's something I've always had. You think that's just not a malady, but just a piece of human, like do you think it's just something that's in you, or do you think, sorry, they got bugs in here because I think a lot of this stuff is outdated. We're in a Masonic temple, by the way.
This isn't all new stuff?
We're in the
Is this? Yeah, I think this isn't the room my show is in, but I think I'm in this theater tomorrow. Yeah.
Yeah, you are. We're in there tonight.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So we're switching.
Awesome.
Yeah, Stavros Halkias. Have you ever seen this kid?
I know who he is, but I haven't met him.
Thicker kid, nice kid. He's he's not Vietnamese. What is he? White. And he's performing in town too tonight. There's a real, comedy's, it's everywhere.
It's everywhere now, and I think we're in this phase. I think the second boom is over. I think it ended with the pandemic, but we're in this like rock star phase where there's like 5% of the stand-up comedians are just fucking rock stars.
Yeah,
and everyone else is like just kind of tolling away at clubs. But I'll ride this wave as long as it goes.
I mean, the fact that there's 3 comedians in town this weekend performing at theaters is kind of crazy, I
mean, almost every weekend I'm out on the road, it's like there's someone that same night somewhere else. It's just, I think probably a lot of it's the pandemic. People are like itching to get out on the road. But also people are coming out to shows, man. Like, these are all selling out.
I think you can't get fair news. I mean, the news seems to be, to me, really compromised these days, right? Like no matter what news you get. Like I learned last week that you can pay like some of these websites like Billboard or some of them, you can pay them money to come out and like take photos of you and put them on the internet or write a story. You can just pay for it.
Yeah.
And it's like
the news has been monetized.
Right.
Where it's not a service anymore. Now it's like we just need to give you your news.
Right.
And there should be like, just at the end of the day, like here's what really happened.
Yeah, right. There should be like some dude who sneaks over is like, hey, bud, let me get 5 minutes of your time. This is what's going on.
This is actually what happened. Whatever your politics are, like this is what went down, black and white. Make your own decisions.
So I think people are coming to see something live too because they want to hear things that they want to hear something that doesn't maybe feel as bought and paid for. Do you think that's possible?
Yes, I think the edges have been sanded off everything. Like every time Disney buys another company, I'm like, oh, my career's gotten shorter. If Disney owns everything, I'm never working again.
Why is that?
In television. Because they would never put someone like me on TV. It's like these companies that they have all these responsibilities to just bad entertainment. It's like we just don't want to make anyone mad. It's not about like doing something great. So I think stand-up, it's like the one place where you can go and just see an unfiltered, I don't think it's like it's edgier, but I just think you have like fewer people worried about what's going to happen. And then you just want to see an artist like doing their thing instead of like 100 artists and a corporation combining to come up with a storyline for a season. Right. I think TV and movies have gotten bad.
You were one of the first guys that I heard of that takes like breaks in their life and touring. I don't know if that's true. I would just hear this is like some of the Jeselnik lore that would go around. I mean, there was all kind of things. There was the blood, the drink, the plasma. There was all that kind of shit. But there was Anthony he'll take like a month or two off and just go somewhere and do something and spend time with him by himself or go travel,
But it would usually be a writing retreat. Like I would be going to write. Like I got to go away and lock myself in a cabin and write 100 jokes. Like I would be like, in a week, I got to write 100 no matter when I do it, but I got to leave here with 100 jokes. Wow. And I remember the one time I did that, I went up and got a place in Ojai and I wrote 100 jokes in a week. I was writing on Fallon at the time and I couldn't write my own stuff. So I was like, I'm just going to take a week and go do this. And of all those jokes, of 100 jokes, one of them made it into my act. And it was like a 30-second joke that I was like, this was probably a bad use of my time. But I always feel like, I don't know how you feel about this, but you have to get the bad jokes out to get to the good jokes. Let's say but when you start doing comedy, you're going to write 1 million jokes in your life. Let's say 200 of them are going to be great. but you still need to write 1 million. You can't just write 200 and stop. That I'm always trying to write just to get the bad ones out, so that the good ones can come to me. But yeah, I would do that.
Guys, like who was that? Oh, Louis C.K. I was talking with him, and he said, what did he say? He said, it's the ones you don't want to tell a lot of times, like the ones that'll sit there that you're afraid to tell. He's like, for him anyway, he said those are the ones that end up becoming his favorite.
So interesting. I love that he says things like that. Like I remember he did SNL one year, and he was like, there was one sketch that I was like, I hate this. It's so stupid. We have to do it. Like I want to do something where I'm like, I have to blow a big horn, and I feel stupid doing it because that's what SNL is to me. Like I want to do this. Where he would talk about like opening with his closer. And then being like, how do I build? I got to go somewhere. Like I have to work it out on stage. I thought that was like very brave and an intelligent way to do it. When it comes to trying out jokes like that, though, I always say, only try the ones you like and only keep the ones they like. Because if you try one you don't like and the audience loves it, you're stuck with that fucking thing.
Yeah, that's true.
Like I never have self-deprecating jokes, but I had one in my act like a couple of tours ago. And my openers would laugh because they were like, you're just having fun. And all of a sudden you tell this joke and then you're like mad at the audience for laughing. Like the joke was on me and it just annoyed me. I hated self-deprecating comedy. No, thank you.
Yeah, I don't know if I like it or not. I don't know. I mean, I think I'm kind of fine with it. I don't know. I think for me, a lot of times it feels like just survival. Like, how do I survive through this hour with this group of people to get some high that I need or something that I need that I've always needed? And how do we get to the end of this with it being a fair exchange? That's my biggest thing. I want it to be fair for their money that they spend and fair for what I give them, And then I start to look deeper sometimes, like why do people come to see things? What do we look for in people that we go to watch or that we let entertain us? Like what I'm putting my own attention on. That seems to be the biggest thing that I have. The thing I have the most of my own value seems to be like my attention. Like where do I let it sit? Who do I give it to? I find those like websites sometimes that I'll go to and I'm like, oh, why am I giving this? It doesn't even feel good. It doesn't feel rewarding, Yeah,
like the TikTok and shit where you're just like an hour goes by and you're like, I haven't learned anything or I just feel like I've burned an hour.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and sometimes I laugh and stuff, but it's like Facebook, I'll go and look and see if anybody's dead from high school, and I hate to say that, but it's like that's kind of it, if there's like a good raffle that somebody's doing, I'll do that, but it's like I don't, like, what am I here just because I'm being lazy? And then I start to look like at the algorithm. It's like, man, they've got us really on the ropes as far as to us just becoming humans, just becoming like completely trained fish. It feels.
Oh, dude, it's going to be like the fucking end of WALL-E. Remember that movie where it's like all the fat people in the wheelchairs? Like, and I think you and I will be okay. It's the younger kids that I'm like, oh, they're all fucked. Like their attention span is gone. I don't even know what the world's going to look like in 50 years when they're running it. Like I think about the people who are in tech. They have kids now and they all have nannies and shit. And their one role is keep the kids off the tablets.
Right.
They don't want them to have a phone, an iPad, anything. And everyone else is like, here you go. Like, see you when you're 18.
And they're the ones making the shit. That's the thing.
And that's so they know how dangerous it is. They know how bad it is. But it seems like a bad way to, experience your childhood is to always have stuff. Like, remember, you'd run home from school, run home to catch the cartoons. You had to, like, sprint upstairs to the bathroom and come back down before the commercials were over to catch the second half of Dukes of Hazzard. Like, you had it, like, where you were mattered, and now everything is just at your fingertips. And I think it's bad for you.
Oh, I think the value of most things, it's like, I think about this, like even with relationships and stuff, like the light in a woman's eyes, you got to see. It used to be that was from your wife, it was like, that was from your partner. It was like, that's who that was the one. But now it's like, there's just constantly, it's like you can find anything of somebody just completely giving everything they have to a screen somewhere. And I just wonder what the effect of that is on like marriages and like, and if you go look on your phone all day and stuff's making you laugh, and if you get home and your kid makes you laugh, right? I'm not saying that your kids doesn't still make you laugh, but does it like debilitates? Does it take away a little bit of that because your dopamine has been slowly released all day?
Yeah.
That by the time you get home, you're like, oh, I've seen 40 attractive women on social media. I've seen like some kid in, Miami or some, they find a kid in the dirt, like in Uganda or something, and he's happy or whatever. He's got a diamond or whatever, and he's all it's like you've seen the happiest kid in the world for the day. So I just wonder, do we cannibalize? Have we just cannibalized everything that used to have meaning, right? And not just like the hit of dopamine for your head, but like some meaning to you intrinsically, like as a human,
I think it's taken away a little bit of community because everyone has their own entertainment that's just for them on demand. So you don't like watch things together. That's why like this summer going to see Barbie and Oppenheimer with like a theater full of people dressing up was like such a crazy thing that hasn't been happening for a while because people would just sit at home and everyone's watching the same videos, but at different times on their phone by themselves. So they might like pass them around, but you don't just sit and like, if people threw up 10 minutes of memes at the office every morning and they sat in an office and laughed at them and everything, great. But everyone's just kind of just in their own shit.
Absorbing them, at their own time. And family, it's just like, I think that's a big part of it. And we've talked about that before. We had a guy on here named John Vervaeke, and he's like a meaning specialist. Or he's not like a specialist, but he's like a professor, and that's what man's quest for meaning. That's what a lot of his stuff is about. And he talks about like the Stoics and like Aristotle and like the past and how man has always searched for meaning kind of. But a lot of he talks about his shared experiences. That's one of the biggest things that we had as humans, like, is that we share experiences. Yeah, I remember we would all watch a show, then we would go out in the street if we watched In Living Color, and we would go in the street in our neighborhood and impersonate all the characters, dude. Like, oh, God.
I had my homie the clown
Damon
down.
Wayans, like, oh, homie the clown, homie,
Yeah.
Dude, we would, and it was like, and if you could do it good in the street, but we'd all seen it, and it was just so, if you'd seen a new episode had come out, and you'd be like, when the commercial break came on, you'd piss and have to get back right before the commercial ended. You know?
Yeah, that Monday morning in school, that's all anyone's talking about. Yeah, like I was big into comedy as a kid, and I remember when I got to college. Remember Mr. Show with Bob and David?
I've heard of it. I never saw it.
HBO show, David Cross, Bob Odenkirk, and I loved it. It was like edgy, like hard comedy. It was on at like midnight on a Friday. No one ever watched it, and I would make my friends come over. I'd be like, I'm buying the beer. I've got the weed. Just come and just watch this thing with me. And they all hated it. And I was just sitting there just trying to make them like, you don't think this is fun? Like, and it was so fucking funny to me. The Ben Stiller show. When I was in like 8th grade, every Monday I was like, did you guys watch this? It was so fucking funny. And it wasn't like they didn't think it was funny. They didn't even know about it and weren't interested about it. Like I was always just extra into comedy because it was a way to bond with people. You're doing the theater and 2,000 people are all laughing at the same time, and it's like, this is awesome. This is great that I get to just see this. It's cool.
Do you ever sometimes I wish I was the guy in the audience having a good time? Do you ever wish that? Does that make any sense?
I know exactly what you mean, and I feel like I'm past it. Like I can't enjoy comedy the way that I used to. I would love to go back and to the way that I would experience comedy back in the day, but now I just know too much about it. I see too much that I'm just like, oh, okay. Like I watch it differently. Like I opened for Chris Rock in Europe a few years ago.
Wow, he's my favorite.
He's amazing. I mean, maybe the greatest to ever do it. And a guy that I was like, I'm absolutely going to learn everything I can. I'm going to watch him every night, watch his whole set, watch everything. And after 2 shows, I was like, he's a fucking genius. Like I can't take anything from him on stage. There's nothing I can take that would like be okay to take. It's like he's got his cadence, he's got these things he's worked on. But I just become obsessed with like, how does he prepare? What does he do right after he gets off stage? What does he do right before? What's his process like? Because it's like I can learn from that, but he's just too great of a stand-up to take anything from him on stage.
Yeah, I think sometimes watching certain guys, Fahim Anwar, when I watch him, he's so funny.
He's great.
Everybody loves him. I don't think there's one type of he's so funny.
He's just the nicest guy too. I mean, so many comics, like nice is a low bar in comedy. It's like he didn't like actively assault me. He's like a nice guy, but someone who actually you want to sit and talk to and can enjoy a conversation is few and far between. And he's one of those guys.
Dude, there was a comedian one night we're at the Comedy Store where some guy's backing out of the Comedy Store, hits a woman with his car, right?
Like a woman's car or a woman?
Hit a human woman.
Wow.
And which I don't condone.
No.
And
Can't
so
do it. Can't do it.
Yeah. I mean, and the guy, so then he takes off into the building, right? A few minutes later, I just see it from the porch. I'm like, what? And it wasn't really hard, but it was the lady fell down, right? And people were tripping out. And the guy, like 7 or 8 minutes later, I'm in the back, other part of the Comedy Store. He comes up to me. He's like, hey, dude, he has no idea I've seen it. He's like, do I look like I just hit a woman with my car? And I'm like, what?
What would that look like?
I don't know, but I don't know if he was on drugs or if somebody, he was like, hey, man, do I look like I just hit a woman with my car? And I was like, nah, man, you look totally chill.
Yeah. Do you think he was going to like walk out there and be like, oh, that can't be him?
Yeah, I think that's what he was thinking, yeah. We're brought to you by Manscaped. That's right. Manscaped. You got to scape that man, boy. You got to incorporate that dragon, baby. You got to get your body right. And get your body shorn well, baby. You're one of God's sheep, baby. Manscaped has taken a step up from just doing your balls to get your face the cleanest shave it's ever seen. So this season, no need to toil and trouble. Manscaped's all-new Handyman is the best way to get rid of that stubble. Featuring a compact design and next-generation skin-safe technology, the Handyman will give you that smooth finish without the mess of a traditional shave. Get the sweetest treat this Halloween by going to manscaped.com and use code Theo for 20% off plus free shipping. That's right. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com and use code Theo for a look as sweet as candy. Get yourself the Handyman from Manscaped. Are you struggling with keeping your website up to date and running your business? Well, now you can binge all the web design and digital marketing you want with Modify. That's right. Modify's unlimited web design and redesigns, unlimited website updates, 24/7 support, and help with digital advertising. Plus, you get your own designated designer. That's Modify, MODIPHY, for website design. Considering updating your existing website or getting a new one? Modify can help. Visit modify.com/Theo for 50% off the last website you'll ever need. That's MODIPHY.com/Theo for 50% off the last website you'll ever need. Today's episode is brought to you by BetterHelp. Does it feel like your brain's going to hell sometimes? Does it feel like your thoughts have been vultured over by Satan, by negativity, by your own uncomfort? Well, BetterHelp can help you. You know, if you just don't feel like you're on track. I've been there. I've felt negative. I've felt down in the dumps. I've felt like it's so cold in the D. You know what I'm saying? And what helped me was BetterHelp. BetterHelp Therapy, they will do it, and they can do it for you if you've benefited from therapy. If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online. That's what's great about it. It's designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist and switch therapists anytime for no additional charge. Make your brain your friend with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com /Theo today to get 10% off your first month. That's betterhelp.com /THEO. But comments are strange, man. It's really crazy to think how many strange people get together in a building and how much, like I was thinking yesterday about how Brody Stevens took his life, right? Mm-hmm. Like, that's crazy because so many of us had seen him that night. And there's nothing about him that seemed very erroneous, or, you know, like, people knew that he was struggling. You never kind of knew what level he was struggling at because I think he put so much of it also into his act. Mm-hmm. So you were never sure how much was an act and how much wasn't. No, I mean, people who are like the most depressed put on the best mask. You know, it's like, if you ever see those memes, it's like, this isn't the face of depression, someone being like crying. It's like, it's somebody's like it's the smile's too big. You know, it's like, no one's that fucking happy, man. What's going on? And I'm not like Brody was always a ball of sunshine, but I mean, I was shocked and gutted when that happened. And most of the time, I remember Robin Williams. I was like, this fucking guy who like everyone thinks is the funniest person of all time. Like, I know.
had to pull the plug. Like that was gutting. That I'm not. I understand that everyone dies, and deaths rarely bother me, but suicide is always just devastates me. Like I got to take the afternoon to like process, call the therapist, and just like talk it out because it's always brutal. Brody was a tough one.
Yeah. I think he was so big too. He was so much bigger than life. I think what scares me the most about it is that it's like, could that happen to something me? Could that happen to, how do you go from seeming just like every other comedian at the store in a way? Of course you're individual, sure, but just seeming like every other comedian to suddenly, like can something happen in your brain that just makes that happen?
Yes. I mean, suicide, and I read a book about this last year, I think, amazing book. It was just like suicide's almost like a state of mind. Like it's just like something comes over you and you can't help yourself. Like you're not who you normally were. And a lot of times if a friend of mine or someone I know, dies by suicide, I have to know the details. Like I need to know what happened. Was it financial? Was it like, I was reading a book where if people try to kill themselves by jumping off a bridge into water, if they do it over romantic entanglements, if they do it over a woman or a guy, they almost always, if they don't die when they hit the water, swim to the surface. They're like, what am I doing? This is so stupid. And they swim out and they get saved. If they're jumping over financial shit, they sink like a stone. It's like, thank God this is over. Like it's just these different things get into people's minds and just extinguish any sort of flame.
There's a book about that?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow.
Plenty. Yeah.
Yeah, I just don't know. I wonder if I have too much of an ego. That's why I wouldn't. Like, ego's so interesting because it's like kind of this shadow, but it's like this, I don't know.
When you say ego, do you mean like your body saying like, not today? Or do you mean like you're in your mind being like, I'm not going to let people read about me tomorrow that I took my own life?
That's what I think. I don't want to die.
Yeah.
I don't want to die. This is all I'm doing is being alive. So if I die, that's probably going to be pretty boring, At least if I'm alive, I can do the things are possible.
I feel like death sounds great. It's just like you get to sleep. Like I don't sleep that well. So like the idea of just like you go to sleep forever sounds awesome. Suicide, I'm not going out like that. I'm not doing that to people who knew me. That's not going to be the end of my story. And I just like refuse that. I never even entertain it. But I am fascinated by it.
Yeah. Yeah, I just don't, and I don't know how I would do it. I just don't know if I could I don't want to do it. I would do like the guy in the garage with the piping or whatever, probably. Something casual.
Yeah, I used to think that I'd be like, okay, I'd be like a bathtub guy, kind of thing, or take some pills and go to sleep. And then I would read about it more, and it was like, men don't do that. Men pull out the shotgun. Yeah. Men jump off a thing. Like women take the pills, women go in the bathtub. And I was like, oh, well, then this isn't for me. I'm not going out pansy style.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. Look, I was raised by my mom, so I used to wear that towel. I would put it up around my chest sometimes. You know what I'm talking about? Like the bath towel?
Yeah.
And then one day, my buddy's like, I was at my buddy's house. He's like, dude, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah.
Like you have the towel like above your breasts or whatever. And I remember sometimes I would stand and I would talk. Like I remember if I was talking to somebody with my shirt off, I would cover my chest like this.
Like just the nipples or like the whole?
Yeah, like the nipples. And I just remember it was probably something that my mom did if she was like, if we peeked in her room or something and she'd be like, what do you, like, I don't know. It just seemed kind of, it seemed like more of a feminine trait, I
remember when I was a kid, like we'd do yard work at the house and I was always helping my dad, because I was the oldest. And it was just like, it's hot out. Take your shirt off. Like, take your shirt off. We're doing yard work. And I was like, great. And one day I'm like playing football with my friends who are like 8 or 9 years old and it's really hot. And I just take my shirt off to play. And they all just like stop and look at me like, what the fuck are you doing? And I was like, oh, got it. Shirt back on. Like never again. Like I'm not a shirt off guy.
Yeah. In our neighborhood, taking your shirt off was a sign of respect when I was growing up.
What?
Like if somebody did something, we had people that couldn't speak really well and very, just damn limited, and so people would take their shirt off as like a sign of like respect, like we're with this guy, I remember that.
Like you're watching 9/11, you're just like everybody Take your shirts off?
No, it'd be something more localized. Like if you were watching like if somebody had started like a ditch fire or something, and you know, people were supporting him or whatever he was doing. If he was burning like if it was a woman burning her husband's stuff or whatever or something. If you were in support of whoever was doing something, there was like it was almost like, I don't know what to say, so I'm just going to say that I am showing myself here.
So
it felt very primitive when I think back on it.
So you take the shirt off and you're done, or are you swinging it around,
No.
or are you throwing the shirt away? Like this shirt's done now.
Yeah,
I just
shirt
saw
has nothing to
something
do
so
with it.
cool. But you just hold it until
Yeah, you just hold it. You say like, I'm here.
and
you
then
know?
this moment of respect is over. 10 minutes, 15 minutes, you put the shirt back on.
Yeah, things would kind of dissipate or something. I think somebody, you know, the oldest kid would put their shirt back on, and then the rest of the kids would put their shirt back on.
So it was an age thing.
I think it was like it was something, but I just remember that if you didn't know what to do, you just took your shirt off. If you were around an adult, sometimes you took it, you know, just to show it was like a sign of respect somehow. I just remember people doing it a lot.
I always think it's funny when you see fights online. Like I follow Twitter accounts that are just like, here's a fight, and it's
It's the worst.
just some like random guy in the suburbs rips his shirt. Like they start arguing, he tears his shirt off and starts flexing. Always makes me laugh.
Why do they allow these children? You ever see the fights of children beating up other children online? Why do they allow that to be on? It seems like we created a culture that is just imitating what they see, right? Because at a certain point, you just see the same. It's like the same exact video, just new people. And I'm like, why shouldn't there be a block? That's where I get weird about like free speech, kind of, I guess, you know? It's like, shouldn't there be a block that lets us not see this?
The kids fighting?
Yeah, I just think it's like, because then some kid sees that. Now 20 other kids are going to go make the video.
Yeah.
Are we just perpetuating it, you know?
I don't know. I mean, there were plenty of fights before this started happening. I don't know if anyone's fighting for the video. You almost hope it's the kind of fight that isn't going to be online. Like the last time I got in a real fist fight, I think it was like a sophomore in high school, and they filmed it. They had a camcorder on a tripod.
What?
And filmed it, and I won the fight.
Was it Comedy Central?
What the
Like, who was it? A company?
that filmed the fight?
Yeah.
When I was 16 years old?
Oh, I
No.
thought you said high school?
High school, yeah.
Oh, sorry. I thought you
Sophomore in
said
high
college.
school.
Okay.
And just the guy thought he was going to beat me up and had his friends film it. And I won the fight.
You
and then
did?
Yeah. And people passed the tape around. I did one of the coolest things I've ever done before or since. This guy's bigger than me, and I'm not winning this fight in the beginning. And we get to a point, we've both thrown a couple punches, and he gets me from behind. He's like got me in like a bear hug around my arms.
Oh,
And
you're done.
he's trying to like throw me down. And I just, in this like 5-second span, I remember a movie called Bird on Wire with Mel Gibson. Bird on Wire?
With
Bird on a Wire. Goldie Hawn.
Yes, with Goldie Hawn.
And Mel Gibson's thing in that movie, his move, and when he would fight, was to someone would get him from behind, and he would put his head forward and slam his head back. And so I just let all my body weight go, like I just went limp, and I had my head drop down, and then slammed it back and caught him right in the head, and he went down. And you hear everyone scream, and I was just like, and like, I think I knocked his teeth out. He had fake teeth in the first 4, and I hit him, and the teeth came out, and then he was like, "This is over. I gotta fix my teeth." And that tape went around school for like 3 weeks, and I felt like a god. And then all of a sudden it disappeared. But I was like, if that was online, I don't know what my life would have been like. You know,
Because
like,
you would have been somebody who fights.
probably that would have been my thing.
You'd have been
It's
a
like,
fighter.
yeah, I'm gonna get in a fight and hope this guy grabs me from behind, and then I'm gonna do my Mel Gibson head snap, and this is my identity now.
Oh, you'd be doing a musical of it.
For sure.
I mean, that's the kind of thing that happens. It's like people, everything, you have to take it to the stage now. Have you been to have you done Comedy Mothership yet?
No, I was in Austin a few weeks ago, and I had like 3 shows. But then I went. I remember Curtis from Comedy Store.
Yeah.
He's like running it now. And he was like, "Hey,
Yeah,
come."
he's awesome. Curtis
He's like-
Nelson.
Yeah, Curtis
Yeah.
was like, "Just come over after your show, and like we'll be closed, but I'll give you a tour." And that's exactly what he did. Showed me all like the memorabilia on the walls, and like showed me the stages, and like it all seems, pretty perfect.
It's
for a
cool.
Performer.
Yeah, I think one thing that they're doing. Well, one thing I noticed when I was there, I think I'd done maybe 2 sets there, right? But it's nice. I mean, when you go there, like, if you do a set there, they just surprise the audience with you. So it like you could just, they're just amped, So that always feels pretty nice, I think. And to be a place where a comedian opened a comedy club, I think is kind of interesting. And that they get paid better, right? That's one thing I think is really cool.
I like it.
Is that the comedians get paid better.
I root for that place. I root for, there's no comedy club I root against, but it just seems like it's probably a little bit easier there.
Oh, because it's kind of like a built-in like this, like a lot of the audience that likes like a Rogan audience or a Hinchcliffe audience, like a home team.
It's a built-in approval. Like you're not, Joe Rogan cannot bomb at that club.
Right.
You know what I mean? That it's like they
right.
Like
Everybody coming is hoping they see him.
Yes, and I've got jokes where it's like I want the audience to be like, oh fuck, I don't want them to be like, yeah. If I say like, let's talk about trans people, and everyone's like, fuck yeah, do it. Then that's not my thing. I want people to be like, fuck. And then I show them how I do it, But that place, and this is not, it's just because it's new and people are excited about the club, but it seems like a little bit, people will say, come play in our sandbox. I want to play on the beach.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah,
no, well, I think that it's a good point that I think as you when people know you, a lot of times, even when I go on stage now, I'm like, am I good at this anymore? Or are people just being, who are fans of mine, or we have something in common? Or they just, I don't doubt myself, but the setup changes. It's not where you went on stage for 14 years and they didn't know who you were. Yeah. So you knew you got to win them over. Yeah. You knew there were so many pieces of feedback that you were getting that let you know you were genuinely, you were doing well. Whereas now it's like, am I still? And then because they're there for you. So it's like, how do you find an audience then? I mean, I guess you just pop on shows where people don't know you're going to be there. Maybe that's probably the best way.
I mean, TV was my thing. TV, and like I wasn't someone's opener, and that's how I kind of made my bones. It was like, okay, got on TV, the roast kind of showcased what I did as a stand up.
That's right.
And then it was like you could go see me do that for an hour. It just worked out that my stand up is very close to my roasting. So that's how I got everyone. And I kind of missed those days where I was so a surprise to people, because I don't have to earn it anymore. I just have to not let them down. If I don't let them down, they're going to come back. I'll get one tour where it's like greatest hits, and then after that, then no one's coming to see me again. It's got to be, every time you come to see me, it's going to be all new, and I've got it worked out. I'm not fucking around. I'm not like messing around trying out stuff. It's like, here's the act, and I've kind of taught people. But a lot of times you just go up there and hang out. We've all seen famous comics go and just do the hangout set. And
Chappelle does that a lot. I feel like you know,
and it seems unpleasant to me. I don't want to waste everybody's time.
Yeah, I totally understand that. I don't want to waste everybody's time.
But I'll see, like, when I opened for Chris Rock, or I would see Chris Rock at the store coming and working on stuff, and he would just for like an hour just stand up on stage in the main room going like, what else? What else? And I'm like, I could never do that.
Right. I
could never just be sitting there. And the audience is rapt. They're like, we love this. We'll sit here and watch you think all night. I could never. I would start sweating if I just was like, what else we have? Like, I don't write on stage for that reason. I've got to have it down.
Wow. I write on stage, but I write, like, I'll be doing something that I know is working, and it'll go, a new little tributary will start off of it. And it's always that, whatever that new thing is, if it does well, then it's locked in. Mm-hmm. It works good.
And do you record or do you remember? It's like it kills so hard. You're like, okay. Yeah.
I record all the audio, and I'll listen back. Because sometimes you'll just get one new angle in like the beginning of something. You're like, oh, this is monumental. Did you see those aliens, those Mexican aliens?
The little tiny guy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what'd you think about it?
I didn't give a flying fuck. Like space, outer space, I don't care at all.
Really?
Like, I'm glad people are working on it. Mm-hmm. I'm glad we're going to Mars and all that shit. Like, go find out as much as you can about that star. But I don't give a shit. Like, I've never seen a picture and been like, oh, wow, that's what a black hole looks like. Like, it's got nothing to do with me. That, like, the aliens, I was like, I don't believe it. Like, yeah, I know you're talking to the government right now, but this would be a bigger deal. And if it was, I still probably wouldn't care.
Yeah.
Like, this is a legit little alien guy. It's like, so what?
And it's like a Mexican government, which I'm not saying is not as legitimate as any other government, but I think it has, there's definitely more of like, people, it's like, what's going on here, And they kind of did like they like pulled it out of like they like opened a box. It was like a little bit of a crypt. Like, I think the whole thing seemed a little. I wonder if I care about UFOs.
I don't care. They could attack, and I'd be like, I don't like wake me up when I'm dead. Like, I just don't. It doesn't interest me.
Do you think our government would let us know if they had been here or not?
I don't know if they would. I don't think they would do it to be like good, but I also don't think they would successfully cover it up. Like the government fucks up so much stuff. That's why I don't really believe in conspiracy theories, because like they would fuck it up. If they faked the moon landing, they would have fucked it up.
Right.
Someone would have like talked. It would have been a thing. And I'm going to see so many comments now about like, you're so dumb if you don't believe. Like, I don't care. I don't want to waste my time thinking about that.
Yeah.
It's like when crypto was a big thing. It's like, I don't care. I like money, but I don't want to sit and think about money. Right. I like to have it. I don't want to look at the stock market. I don't want to look at my crypto things and see if I got to buy the different coin now. Fuck that.
Yeah, I'm not a crazy investor really a lot of times, because I just like to know what I have.
I tell my business manager, like, am I doing anything wrong? Am I doing anything stupid? Let me know. Otherwise, like, just pay my taxes.
Yeah.
And we're cool.
Yeah, dude. Look at that NFT market. That thing disappeared. I mean, what the fuck was that?
It sounded dumb from the jump. And
I
would
thought
say
so
it
too.
sounded dumb. People would be like, you don't get it. I'm like, I think I do. And now it's all like, everything's been proven right. Like, it's all
a JPEG.
It's all gone. Yeah. And why the Bored Ape wasn't good in the first place, but you're going to spend billions on this thing? It was very, very dumb.
And I think the person spending billions, I think it's just one guy telling his buddy, hey, let's write an article that say you spent $1 billion.
Yeah.
And then we'll get everybody else to buy bullshit.
Yeah.
It's like the guy who said he spent $1 billion never even spent a fucking billion. I think they spent $5,000 paying a website to make an article.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
And computer money isn't real. Like, I don't believe that you have like $1 billion in crypto. That's the same as having $1 billion in real money.
Yeah.
I don't buy it.
Do you think you could have been like, I've been watching Band of Brothers. Have you been watching it?
I watched it when it first came out.
God, how good was it?
It was great. Do you remember when Jimmy Fallon shows up?
He's in it?
For like 5 seconds. It was clear. It was like everyone in Hollywood was getting into this. And I think Fallon had just left SNL. And it's like they're about to go. It's the end of an episode, like episode 6 or something, where they're like, things are about to get bad. Like, we've got no backup. It's just us. We're each other's brothers. And all of a sudden, they're like, we don't even have guns. And all of a sudden, it's like, hey, guys. And they turn around, and it's Jimmy Fallon in the uniform. He's like immaculate, and he's like, hey, I found some guns for you. And they're like, really? He's like, yeah, I'm just giving them out. And they like take the guns and like, thanks, man. He's like, good luck, guys. And that's the end of the episode. It was like clear that he like wanted to be a part of it. They were just like, well, we'll work in a cameo somewhere. Let's give him something good. Okay, he gives the guys guns at the end. It was so Hollywood cheese.
Wow. Does it stand out so much from the episode?
Yeah, because no one else is fucking famous. You know, you have like a couple guys who were like younger actors, but then it's like all of a sudden it's Jimmy fucking Fallon just post SNL. Yeah. You know, it was hilarious to see him in a World War II situation.
Wow, I might not be to the end of that episode yet. I'm watching this for the second time now. Dude, Jimmy Fallon, when he first was touring, he before he got SNL, before he got The Tonight Show,
mm-hmm.
he opened up for me in Miami.
Oh,
they
wow.
had him. They were putting him on stage, I guess, to get his. I mean, I say opened up like they just put him in the middle
like
spot.
Special guest spot. He'd
Right.
do as much as he wanted. If the crowd was good, he'd do 20. If it was bad,
Nobody
he'd do
knew
5.
he was
Yeah.
there. I didn't even know till I got there. I go in the green room and he's in there, and it was cool, man. It was cool. And then the last night, I think he just he was doing fine. I think he just was getting kind of over it. You know?
Yeah.
It was a Sunday night show.
Yeah, doing guest sets. Like everyone's excited, but it's like you're just doing. I would get bored doing guest sets too.
I just couldn't believe it. I was so scared to go in the green room, and then I didn't know what to say when I was in there. Green room gets small, bro. When you were just learning about being a comedian and you're in there with the headliner.
Because you don't know.
And the headliners are we're crazy. We're crazy. We get very specific and particular how we're used to things.
Yeah, and some people, like, that's the only time they have any power. They don't have power out on stage, but like in the green room, they can be like, get out of here with that cheeseburger. And you're like, relax, man. But like now I know enough. Like, have you ever just had some random person walk in your green room?
Yeah.
Like put their jacket down, you're like, and they walk out and you're like, what? And they're like, no, they shouldn't have done that. You're like, oh, I didn't know to tell someone. Like I once yelled at the Comedy Store's lawyer. who was like eating dinner in the green room. And I was like, "Are you a comic?" And he's like, "No, get the fuck out of here." And then someone comes back and like, "That's the lawyer." Like, and I was like, "Well, he shouldn't be back here."
He sure the fuck shouldn't have been back there, dude. Thankfully, he's in heaven now. That guy passed away.
Oh, he did?
But yeah. But hey, that's what he gets for fucking eating in the green room.
Shouldn't have come in my green room, bro.
When you're not a comedian, dude. Bro, when you cross the dark art, the fucking last son of Transylvania, and you go to his green room and eat, you're in for trouble.
You're going to die. You got about a year to live.
Do you think you could have handled like the draft or something like that? Sometimes I feel like we need another war. Do you think that's a crazy thought?
Yes.
Why?
Because what the fuck did we get out of most of them? You know, you can look at World War II and be like, okay, like we were fighting for something. But now technology's gotten so crazy with everything that I don't know if anyone would do the draft. I don't know if anyone would have the nationality to just be like blindly follow the government. They don't want to do that.
Yeah.
If we got attacked, I bet everyone signs up the next day. But if it's just like, hey, we noticed something's going on in North Korea again, I'm like, we're not doing that.
Get the fuck out of here, bro.
I used to think I would have just gone into the draft. Like my dad was in the military.
Right.
You know, I certainly have respect for it. Do I think I'd be a good soldier? Absolutely fucking not.
No,
so it's like,
you would be the worst.
Yeah, like I'm gonna drag the rest of the troops down. Let's head to Canada and do my part over there.
Yeah, that's what I think. What I want is I want something to unify people. I want something that makes us feel. I miss the days where I think when we all felt like we were part of a country, or it seemed to me like we felt like we were. Like, I don't know how I don't know if I felt like I was part of if I was like, if I loved the government, really, if I just loved the idea of our country, you know? Do you know what I'm saying? Like when you're a kid, like.
Yeah, I mean, no, if you love the government, you're fucking dumb. Like if you like, I get loving the country. If you're like this government, the fucking IRS is killer, man. I love them so much. If you love politicians, like people were like, oh, like fuck the Joe Biden. It's like, okay, I'm down. Fuck the president. Always. If you're like, fuck this guy. The last guy was amazing. You're like, get the fuck out of here. Every politician fucking sucks.
Yeah.
I would never do that with my life. There's some I like more than others, but like politicians in general, get the fuck out of here. Like, why am I supposed to like this one? No, they're all politicians. It's insane.
Yeah, I think, well, I've always thought my mother always let us know, if you ever think that the government is going to do something for your life, then that's not how it's going to work, probably.
I'll never get over the government saying every year, pay your taxes. Figure it out, pay your taxes. And you try to do whatever math you have, you send it to them, and they go, you got it wrong. Then fucking tell me what it is, send me a bill, don't make me do these gymnastics, and then tell me I'm wrong. Like, why are you making me do this? And that's what I think about the government.
It's so passive-aggressive. That's very passive-aggressive of them. And also, you know, there used to be a box. You check it, you get for being blind, right? You get $1,600, right? But you have to check the fucking box, dude. Like, how do they even, like... I just don't understand what
there should be a box that you don't check if you're blind.
Yeah.
If you can see, check this box. If not, you're going down.
And they don't even tell you what it's for. It just says, hey, if you can see, check this box. That would have been the best way to know if people are blind.
You know what's always obsessed me about blind people, and I used to try to turn this into a joke and can never do it, is, you know what Braille is, right? Like the little dots they read? It's like, think about how long it takes a blind person. Like, let's say you lost your vision today. How long do you think it would take you to learn Braille? Like 1 dot's A, 2 is B, this is C, like...
I bet probably 2 months.
2 months? 60 days? 62 days tops?
You know what? Maybe to be fluent, I would say maybe 6 months.
6 months, okay. How long then, once you know how to read Braille, does it take you to find Braille?
Yeah.
If you're blind, you can read the shit out of it. How do you find it? Are you just always looking around? Like any bump, you're just like, oh, I can read again. Like you go to the bank and it's like on the ATM, but like, how do you find the ATM? Like, I don't know how they ever do it. They should have made Braille way bigger for blind people.
Yeah, they should have made it huge. They should have made it like speed bumps in a parking lot when you're pulling in.
You can hear, run your finger over and it's like,
or your tires go over it, and you feel like, oh, it communicates to your car or something that communicates to you, or it makes a sound when you go over. But the blind, they've been fucking shunned by society for so long. I feel like, or just, nobody cared that much. It's like, yeah, we'll give you this little series of dots.
People don't trust blind people.
Yeah. Oh, no.
You don't trust deaf people. You don't trust blind people. You're like, you can see a little bit. You can see something.
Yeah.
You can hear loud noises.
Yeah.
You're just playing this up.
Oh yeah, I remember they had a dude in our town who he was deaf, right? And he was doing this, and people beat him up for doing bad magic. They thought he was doing like
The evil eye kind of shit.
or
you're
just shit
cursing
like
me.
this.
Yeah.
And they thought he, never pulled out a quarter or anything, and people fucking lit into him.
That's why you got to carry a quarter.
Oh, no matter
Someone
how
kicks your
deaf
ass.
you are,
Mm-hmm.
get that kid a quarter.
Mm-hmm.
What's an ailment do you think you could handle?
I mean, I think you can handle whatever. Like right now I'm dealing with like back issues where like my back sucks and I'm like seeing a chiropractor, doing exercises, like all this stuff. And I'm like, I'm dealing with it. Like sometimes it's better than others, but I'm dealing with it. That anything that it's like when you get sick, you get the flu and you're like, you feel like you've had the flu for your entire life and it's never going away. And then one day you're like, oh, the cough's gone. Like it's over. That I think I could handle whatever. I wouldn't want these things, but if I lost a limb, I think I could handle it. I've always wanted to lose an eye. I would love to wear an eye patch. I would love to have just one eye, like a black leather eye patch, a cool one, and that's my thing. People say glass eye is the way to go. I disagree. Eye patch. If it's like the scar going down and the eye patch, forget about it.
Coming out the bottom of it. You would be able to do that though. I think there's a thing about being tall and handsome. There's so much stuff you get to do that you don't realize that other people don't get to do.
Mm-hmm.
Like a little guy with an eye patch is that guy.
Terrible.
It's just nobody's gonna give a fuck.
It's too much.
It's
too much. Pick one.
Yeah, be little, do an eye patch, but don't fucking come in here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I always was fascinated. I remember when I was a kid, I met a kid that had a stutter, right? This kid named Douglas, and I'd never heard it before. And I was so jealous. I was like, he sounds so unique. Like, I want to be, and I remember I would impersonate him a lot, right? Like, I loved it. And my teacher got mad at me. And I was like, no, you don't, like, I think it's
cool. I think it's cool.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Like, he sounds unique.
As a kid, I made fun of someone with a stutter, and the kid's mom was like, don't do that. If you draw attention to it, he'll have it forever. But if you just don't mention it, he'll stop. And I was like, oh, why is this my job?
Wow.
Like, you guys deal with that at home. In the real world, we're talking about it. We're talking about that stutter.
Dude, I can't believe they tried to put that on you. That's crazy.
It's like I'm 8.
What a responsibility. But that's what you get when you're tall, dude. When you're tall, people, I feel like you get everything gets put on you, I feel like, when you're tall.
How tall are you?
I'm just regular heighted. I'm 6 foot.
Okay.
And I was kind of tall for a little while, but everybody it didn't play out. The tall kid always fucking, remember when you got tall? Remember just like 4 weeks, you're like, and your neck was long and your fucking chin was like.
My neck always hurt. Like there were like 3 years where I was always doing this. Like my neck, it was like, oh, I'm growing. I didn't know at the time. My neck just like was always sore. And I shot up, like I was the tallest kid in my class, like immediately. And then I just stopped. So then I thought I was big and I was just tall. I wasn't big at all. I was like a beanpole, but people wanted to fight you.
Yes.
It was like, oh, the tall guy, I want to fight him. And I was like, I don't want
him, huh? This 40-year-old, and you're like, I'm 11. I'm 7.
Yeah.
I'm 11.
Yeah.
9. What else do you think about like your career? Did you feel like success gave you a lot of the things you thought it would, or were you surprised by any of that?
I was surprised at how little I was able to enjoy it. Like I didn't want to be famous. I wanted to be known. I wanted to be able to, like, comedians would know who I was. If you're a comic and you don't know who I am, you're not a comic. Like,
right. You wanted to be valid.
Yes. That I could walk into a club and they'd be like, oh, Anthony, you're here.
It's pretty powerful too, isn't it? Mm-hmm. When you think about like that being able to happen.
Oh yeah. Walking into like a green room. Like I go to see Doug Stanhope and I'm like, I want to go backstage. And maybe they'll let me back. And I walk back and they're like, oh, hey, yeah, come on back in. And you're like, oh. That's cool.
It almost feels false, doesn't it? Or does it ever feel like that to you? Not that you don't deserve it. To me, there's no doubt. But even when people welcome me, like I would go to the Comedy Cellar sometimes. Like the last one was there, like, do you want to get up? And I was like, not me.
Mm-hmm. Like
I don't just get up. Like if Colin Quinn comes in, or if somebody like a new, like.
Sure. But they're like, I always say when it comes to that, when like you want to drop in, I'm like, if you didn't buy a ticket to see me, you don't want to see me. I'm not a good drop-in because it's like you're here to see whatever else, and then it's like my dead baby bullshit for 15 minutes, and they're just like, "What the fuck?" And I'm like, "Yeah, you're right. Like I'm ruining your good time." Yeah. So it's like I want people to know that I'm coming. I'm not a good surprise. But I really hated 2013 was when like the Jesselnick offensive was on the air. I was like right after the roasts and everything. I did my first special where I was for that year I was famous. Then the show got canceled. Like I had a couple years off TV, and it was like it went away almost immediately. Where it was just like the temperature got dialed down, but I didn't like people looking at you and being like, I know you from something. I don't know what it is, but like, I know you. That I hated. If it's like, I love your comedy. Thank you so much. Great. I love that. But just, I've seen you on something. I hated. I really hated being famous, you know?
Yeah, I think it's, it feels exhausting. It feels like a whole nother life you have to live.
Yes. It's like, you're not just doing the one show. You're doing shows all the time. And you don't know when it's happening. Like you're walking through the airport and then you like get home when you see someone's been following you around taking pictures and posting them on. And you're like, this is just weird, and it gets in your head. I get people who wear sunglasses all the time. I get the hat and like the disguise and just like I don't want to be out in public. Like I stopped going to bars. Like it was just being around any drunk people was
the drunk
worst
is the worst
thing in the world.
Yeah, that's one thing I love about not drinking is just not having to deal with that type of energy or like because it's already weird enough if somebody knows you. But then I think if they're wasted, it makes you just kind of scared. It's just too risky.
Oh yeah, and then they want to come back. It's like, hey, I just want to say I'm a huge fan. Like, thank you. And then like, can I get a picture?
Yeah.
5 minutes later, like, I just wanted to tell you this one joke. And you're like, this is my
and
home.
Like, my sister's here. Yeah, dude, my fucking. She loves you. She wants to FaceTime you.
Yeah, and I get it. They're fans. Like it's cool, but like you know, they buy tickets. But when they're drunk, it is really tough to deal with.
Yeah, one guy put me on the phone with his sister, and she's